not my birthday, though.
It's not your birthday?
It's your birthday, though.
Oh, it's my happy birthday, me. Welcome back to the Rage Psych Podcast. It's Jeff's birthday, and that's me. I'm Jeff.
And I'm Mike.
And yes.
I'm not my birthday.
It's not your birthday. When is your birthday, Michael?
It's January.
What do you do for your birthday? Do you just like eat a lot of bacon?
I don't do anything.
No?
I mostly just get a pizza. Because it's because my birthday is the beginning of the year, like basically a week into the year.
Right.
And everybody's already, they've gone off on their vacations. They've come back. They're exhausted. Mm-hmm. They don't want to do anything. So I never invite anyone over.
They're all just tired out from Christmas. They're like, I gave people shit already. Just you.
Exactly.
Here's $5 gift card to Amazon. I don't know. Buy yourself something nice. And yeah.
They're like, it's Mike's birthday. I already hung out with Mom. That's not what we're talking about.
Actually, it's funny because like the last few years, I used to make a huge deal out of my birthday every year. And I wasn't ashamed to just be like, hey, everybody, it is my birthday. You're going to come over here and you're going to buy me a steak and beer. And that's what's going to happen. Everybody was like, okay, fine. But over the last couple of years, like I kind of stopped doing that. And then this year, yesterday, Grant Davis showed up at my house and was like, here is a lot of beer. And I was like, okay. And he was like, yeah, happy birthday. Here is a lot of beer. And I was like, oh, all right. That's pretty cool. That's more than I expected.
The beer fairy.
Yes, exactly. So this year, I'm going to have a happy birthday. You get see what I did there? It's a beer day. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm not really doing anything. It's not like I can do anything. I can't go out. I can't, what can I do? I can sit here and play Final Fantasy VII and order pizzas. So I guess
you can pet Archer.
That's just true, but I can pet my dog. I don't have to wait. I don't only pet my dog once a year. I'm not a war criminal, Michael.
Well, the difference is you put on a party hat, so it makes it more festive.
I put him in a party hat, and then it's
exactly
super festive. Yeah, I thought
both of you wear party hats.
I thought about going to Taco Bell and just being like, hey, Taco Bell, it's my birthday. What do you got for me? And they'd just be like, one taco. And I'd be like, isn't that the same thing that you give everybody every 4 days now that we're all locked down, where you're just like, hey, everybody, come to Taco Bell and get a free taco.
They'll give you a free triple chalupa because you know how they're such a big fan of those.
Fucking triple lupas. Goddamn triple lupas. Yeah, so I'm not going to do jack shit for my birthday this year. Actually, that's not true. I'm gonna see my sister. I haven't seen my sister in a while, so I'm going to do that. And we might get takeout from this local Mexican food restaurant that we used to go to every week before, we taped all the doors closed and put the chains up, and everybody's got to wear a face mask now. But yeah, so for all of you who didn't say happy birthday to me when I didn't tell you it was my birthday, how dare you not know that it's my birthday and tell me the happy birthday on my birthday, except not
Shame's
really.
on you.
Yes. Yeah.
Send me Final Fantasies.
What's that?
Send me Final Fantasies.
Yes. Final Fantasy VII vexes me, Michael. It vexes me so much. Like, I like it, but every moment of it, I'm just like, I really wish this was just a brand new series and I wasn't having to deal with like Cloud and Tifa and like I know what happens, and like it's great for that, and it's cool to see Square get a real-time combat system like slightly better than it was actually way better than it was in 15.
Okay.
But, also I'm really starting to realize that the character designs for the Final Fantasy VII people were like what was considered really badass in like 1995. And making that into a brand new thing where like Cloud just has these screws in his shoulder that are just screwed in from the bottom and for no reason, and like these MC Hammer pants, and I don't know, all the avalanches look like they look so stupid. They look so dopey. Like, they're just, hey, I got a red Rambo headband and like green pants and a white shirt, and let's all do our best at eco-terrorism. Yeah. And I'm just like, God, what?
Yeah, the rest of Avalanche does not look great. Barrett kind of looks like the best, but they gave him sunglasses to make him more rad, apparently.
Barrett is so tiring. He's just so tiring. It's like, how I have that one friend who's loud and bombastic all the fucking time and they won't shut up about things. Don't you say me. Don't you say that's me.
I didn't say nothing.
I don't know.
You thought it. I didn't say anything.
He spends like the first 4 hours of the game just yelling at Cloud, aka me the player, for no good reason. Just being like, you don't care enough. I'm Barrett. And I'm like, oh God, White, stop yelling at me. What are you doing?
It's not obvious when it's in text form, but once you actually have them start talking to you, you're like, oh my God, is this really what you've been saying this whole time?
Yeah, when you're playing Final Fantasy VII and Barrett was just typing in all caps and his little PS1 icon was like vibrating with his hands out, and you're just like, oh look, it's Barrett. But when there's actually a voice track and some guy's just like, Cloud, you need to shape up and care about the planet. I'm so tired of you, Cloud. And I'm just like, what did I do? What did I do? What do I do? I'm just a guy with the big sword.
And he's allowed to actually curse now, too, so that makes it even weirder.
It's very
Because before it was just like all the little symbols, special character things.
Yeah.
Now he actually can say shit and bullshit and fuck you, Cloud.
Yeah, I don't know.
Save the planet, Cloud.
I've been kind of enjoying it. I mean, I'll be honest. Like, I'm glad that people that really wanted this got it. Just so that once we're done with this in what year is it? In what 2026 or something like that. Once the Final Fantasy VII is done, then everybody who's the biggest fan of Final Fantasy VII could just like. You could be done. You got your remake. Look, it's so pretty. All 3 parts are out. It's totally compatible with the current gen consoles and the next gen consoles. And you can play it forever. And then maybe in like 2035, there'll be a bunch of 65-year-olds who are just like, I want them to make Final Fantasy VII again. And we'll be
They
like,
absolutely will.
Yeah.
We want it in VR now.
I don't think I don't know if VR's going to last that long.
It's a baby's game if you use your hands, Jeff. You know that.
I do.
It's future.
That's because I'm a baby. You know, I'm just a big, hairy baby. So, well, Michael, before we jump into the news, what have you been up to over the last week?
So my roommate has never seen Robocop 2, 3, Die Hard 2, and 3. So we watched Robocop 2 and 3.
Wait.
And Die Hard 2 and 3.
You didn't just tell him you don't need to watch those and then went on with your life?
No, I told him he didn't need to watch them, but he said it was a blind spot and he needed to. And so I was like, okay, sure, let's do this. And Die Hard 3 has a lot of actors, not Die Hard 3, Robocop 3 has a lot of actors that I forgot was in Die Hard 3.
Oh, yeah.
Like Stephen
Robocop
Root
3.
is in that movie. Yes, Robocop 3. Stephen Root is in that film. Bradley Whitford is in that film.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's crazy. And, like, Jeff Garland's randomly in that film. It's crazy how many people are in that film. I think so, yeah, we watched those. I just finished Die Hard 2, like, a second ago.
What? So. I thought I saw you post on Facebook that you were watching that last night. Did you guys pause in the middle of Die Hard 2, Die Harder, and go to sleep and then wake up and then finish Die Hard 2?
No, so here's the thing. We weren't originally going to watch Die Hard 2.
Okay.
Because you don't need to watch Die Hard 2. But I watched Die Hard 3 with him last night because Die Hard 3 is a good movie.
Oh.
And he was like, well, I still want to see Die Hard 2. And I was like, okay, I guess we'll watch Die Hard 2. And so we watched Die Hard 2 a little while ago.
This is insane.
So we watched it completely out of order.
This is what happens when you've been under lockdown for too long. Is you're watching RoboCop 2 like it's a real movie with fucking Kane and Nuke and that little. I love the little. He's got that little Lego Technics tank that comes out of the middle, and he's got little like, grabby arms. Yeah, and the arms get grabbier when the drugs. Why would they make a robot that's addicted to drugs? I mean, I guess it's got a human brain inside of it, but that's still kind of stupid.
Why did they make the robot have the ability to take drugs? Is the actual question. I wonder every time.
I don't know.
Because it's like, how does that work? Like, it's weird. Like, I have a soft spot for Robocop 2. It's originally written by Frank Miller, who is a batshit insane person.
Yep.
And they made a comic book adaptation of the original version of his script that is way more batshit than that movie possibly could be.
Yeah. The lady that decides to bring Kate back to life spends like 2/3 of that comic book with like most of her clothes ripped up, but then still shoving her big Frank Miller boobs in people's faces to make them do, because Frank Miller and women, ooh, no.
Yeah.
Even the original Sin City, even the stuff that's pretty good that Frank Miller's done, it's still just like, Frank
and then
Miller.
a bunch of strippers and hookers hung out with Michael Clark Duncan.
Right.
And they're just like, it's like, we're filming a movie, right? It's like, what?
Right. Okay, well, what's next up on the docket? What is it like? I'm trying to think of what other bad sequels, like Predator 2, maybe
we should watch that. But other than that, I started playing my Switch games again.
Oh,
and you remember Super Dragon Ball Heroes?
I do. The card game.
Yeah, that card game. I started it back up again because I needed something to keep me from spending more money. So I was like, well, I have a bunch of Switch games I haven't played. And so I'm going through Super Dragon Ball Heroes right now.
Okay.
Until I have time to plow through Mario Rabbids later.
Oh, yeah. That'll keep busy.
Well,
Well,
a chunk of games.
Speaking of things that'll keep you busy, I think this is the third week in a row that we're starting off with some Resident Evil news. I'm not going to do that every time, or else my throat will just fall out of my.
You just
neck.
got to smoke a lot first prior to doing it, and then
Check.
go from there.
Sorry. You said first and then. Yes. So last week on the podcast, we were talking about Resident Evil 8. We were talking about Capcom putting out a poll asking if fans want to see a new Resident Evil or a remake of an existing Resident Evil. And apparently they're already remaking Resident Evil 4, which I'm pretty sure that I was on the podcast last week of saying, of all the Resident Evils in the world that do not need to be remade, 4 is the least. The 4 needs a remake the least of all of them.
That makes no sense, like, at all.
Yep. So apparently,
It's already on the PS4.
it's on everything. It's on everything. I think it's on the Switch. It's on the PS4. It's on the Xbox One. It's on the PC multiple times. It was a GameCube. The game, it was on the PlayStation 2. It was on the PlayStation 3, I believe, at some point, right? It's the Xbox 360. They have put Resident Evil out on almost as many platforms as Minecraft exists on. Like,
It's true.
There was a Wii port of it too, right? Was there a
There
Wii
was,
port?
yeah. I used to have that one.
So here's the thing. Like, of all the games in the world that need a remake, I think RE4 is like, of all the Resident Evil games, I think that I personally would rather see any other Resident Evil game get a remake. I'd rather see 5 and 6 get remade before 4 or 1 or Code Veronica or what are the ones I know? Can I never remember the ones that's like
0. There's plenty of them that are side games that could easily be better had efforts with remaking them. Like 0, Code Veronica. Hell, even some of the other the later ones, like the 3DS ones, probably could be up-resed even more than they were before.
Yeah. Revelations 1, Revelations 2,
Yeah.
you know. Apparently this is going to be coming out in 2022. Shinji Mikami is not going to be involved with it, but he did kind of give the project his blessing. And apparently the team that's working on it inside of Capcom is called M2, and they worked with the team that made the Resident Evil 3 remake to kind of get some to kind of watch the development process, be part of the feedback, see what fans thought about Resident Evil 3. And then the big thing is that apparently the size of this team is going to be like bigger than 2 or 3. So it's going to be a huge team. It's going to be a big push. It's I don't know. It's just one of those things that's totally baffling to me. It would be like, we're remaking Darksiders. And I'm like, why? Like, I played Resident Evil 4 like 4 months ago. It totally holds up. Like, it totally works still, and it looks
That's
great.
the thing. It's not like it hasn't come out for like 10 years kind of thing. It's like you said, it's on everything. I think it might even be on phones at this point. It's crazy how many things it's on. Robert Luke consistently posts about having to rebuy it every other day.
Yeah, so it's really strange. I don't understand this. And in fact, this is like I don't know, man. I liked the remakes of 2 and 3 because what was on the original PlayStation, like if you went and got a ROM of like the PSX version, even if you got like I think there was like a PC version of like RE2, right? Or something.
I think so, yeah.
But even if you took those old blocky texture models and then you like up-res them to be in 1080 so that you could see them, they were still going to look like garbage. So like taking that and then reconfiguring it so that you can see the expression of the characters' faces, details in the environment, like, you know, giving you a little bit more agency to walk around, that totally makes sense. But in 4, all that exists already. Like, you could see the expressions on Leon's face. It's got nice cutscenes. It's got a really interesting combat engine. So I don't know. I don't know. It's very weird. Like, I'll play it because I love RE4 and I'll be interested to see what they do. You know what? I think this might actually be the point where Jeff becomes there's always a point in our lives, Michael, where we turn into that which we hate. So it's just like Resident Evil 2. I'll play it. And everybody on the internet's like, yeah, they changed the second half of the police station, and they took out the part with the shark, and I'm like, I don't give a fuck. And then it's like, Resident Evil 3, they cut out 2 chapters, and it's this, and I'll never buy it. And boo. And I'm like, you guys are crazy. And they're like, we're making Resident Evil 4. I'm like, I'm on that guy's side now.
We're making Resident Evil 4, and it's all just going to be Leon in pink outfits at all times.
I don't know. I guess, you know what, the thing that I really question, that really makes me question, is whether they're going to stick to the whole whether you're going to be able to move and shoot like you can in 2 and 3, right? Because the stationary shooting in 4 was a really that added a lot of, like, Resident Evil 4 was this weird shift where it's like they gave you a lot more ammo, but then they put a lot more zombies in and you couldn't move, which made this real tense thing of, like, you get this big group of guys all like coming up to you, and then you shoot one and do that kick, and then it kicks a whole bunch of them. So I don't know. Like, I'm worried about them redoing that formula and then making it weird.
Well, I'm worried they're going to do what the Twin Snakes is, which is like they take like these kind of weird moments that are like kind of, you know, they're normal things, and then amp them up to like 1,000 to where he's like doing roundhouse kicks and backflips and guile kicks kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm worried they're going to do something like that. Because like I said, there isn't a lot to work with there that isn't already kind of fine, to be honest. They don't even have to change the animations. They just have to stick a new model over it, and that's really it.
Yeah. I would almost rather just have them take the if they could take the RE4 framework and just apply like a super high res texture pack to it, and maybe change the lighting engine, like put in like a specular lighting engine or something like that. I think it would look fine at that point. Like, if you just change, like, made the models a little bit more detailed and then like upped the lighting engine. But I don't know. I guess we'll see in 2022. I guess this means that next year we're going to have RE8, and then the year after we're going to have RE4, and then it's going to be Code Veronica or 1 or 0 or I don't know. God, I hope they don't go to 5 after that.
Remake RE5.
Yeah,
it's just Chris is gonna have even bigger muscles.
I don't know. I'd be willing to let them remake RE5 if they did this thing that I found on the internet last week, where they changed the facial sliders to 500%. I showed Michael this video before. I don't normally do this right in the middle, but this came from DPO23 on YouTube, and man, you guys have got to go take a look at this. It's like they just cranked the facial sliders up to 500% on the character models, and the result is almost indescribable. Like,
it's magical.
It's like everybody's wearing a melting party mask and then emoting as hard as they can. And yeah, I kind of want to buy a new PC just so that I can play this with this mod turned on. I don't want it for Half-Life Alyx. I don't want that. I don't want it to play all the brand new games. I want it to play Resident Evil 3 with the goofy face mod turned on.
I want all the goose mods, like where they add the goose to like every possible game in existence.
Have they done? I don't think I've seen that yet for Nemesis in 3. I mean, I think he's in 2,
I bet
right?
you they're working on it. Yeah, he's definitely in 2. Hell, they put him in Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. I'm pretty sure they're going to put him in Resident Evil 3.
True. Well, speaking of, let's change gears. I don't have a good segue. Let's switch gears from the popularity of Resident Evil to the popularity of Animal Crossing, because I've got a lot of weird tertiary Animal Crossing news. The first of which this week is Nookazone. Do you know about, or Nookazon? Nookazon is the name of it. Have you seen?
It still sounds like a slur. It's just
Just get out of here, you Nookazon. Actually, it sounds like the sort of thing that like an Autobot would say to another robot.
It totally does.
To insult them.
The Nookazons are here.
The Nookazons.
Born Prime.
Yep, they're the new ones. So apparently the Animal Crossing fever has gotten so high, and that's your cue. You say, how high is it?
How high is it?
It's so high that the players of Animal Crossing have created their own eBay bartering website to sell the stuff from their islands to other people on other islands.
Serious?
Yes. If you go to Nookazon, like Amazon, but with Nookazon.com, you can basically see like a whole just smorgasbord of like you know,
God.
dish drying racks, and there's like produce, and basically what you could do here is you could go and it'll connect you with a person that is selling the thing, and then you like connect to their Discord server. Like there's nobody changes hands on this website. It's basically a place for people to post, hey, I'm selling X for X, make me an offer, and then you get their Discord address, and then you contact them on Discord, set it up, and they come to your island. And I'm like, I thought the whole point of this game was for you to like make all your own shit, right? Like
It's a flea market. It's a Nintendo flea market.
yes, but there is a dark side, Michael, because in addition to all of these things, apparently you could also buy villagers off of people.
Oh my God.
I don't know how Animal Crossing works, but I'm pretty sure that that's like against a Geneva Convention or something. Like,
It's against the Nintendo convention, I assume.
but what's funny about it is that I don't know if Nintendo can shut this down, because I mean technically they're not like selling anything. It's
Well,
just
it's all bells, right?
Yeah, it's just this third-party website for people to connect and then barter. And like, what's the difference between that and me saying, "Hey, Michael, come to my island and I'll sell you pears"? Yeah,
This has to be against some kind of terms of service in some way. I don't know.
I don't know.
Either way, it's kind of amazing.
All I know is that that's not actually the most insane thing that's happening in Animal Crossing right now, because in addition to Nookazon, we also have an article that came off of Polygon where apparently a lot of people are using Animal Crossing to go on Tinder dates.
Oh, I heard about this.
Yes, apparently, like now, if you go on Tinder, which I don't, because I mean, you know,
I don't have Animal Crossing.
yeah, I don't have Animal Crossing. I gave it to Amanda so she could go. No, so apparently, like when people on Tinder have Animal Crossing like in their profile, and then like people will match with them, and so there's a good side of this, and then there's like a darker side of this. Michael, which side would you like to hear about first? The good side or the bad side?
I've heard some
side,
good on it, so
bad
let's go
side.
with the bad side.
Okay, so apparently, there have been a lot of people. Apparently, one of the things in Animal Crossing, like there was a story about a girl who like accepted a request and then like went to this guy's island, and he was like, "Here, have a bunch of bells," and she was like, "Great," and they had a date. And then when she was done, she's like, "Yeah, I'm blocking that guy. I'm keeping the bells, but I'm blocking that guy." So apparently, this is a lot more transactional than some. Apparently, there was another story about a girl who met a guy and then brought him onto the island, and they were small talking. And he was like, "Do you have any fruit X?" And she was like, "Yeah, it's over here." And then he got a bunch, and they were like, "Okay, great." And then he just ghosted and took the fruit and left. And so apparently, people are. Michael, I never thought I would be
having one night stands in Animal Crossing.
Actually, I was thinking more about saying there's a lot of Animal Crossing gold digging going on in the world.
They're taking their kidneys, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm not saying she's a bell digger, but I can't say the rest of that. But yes, so apparently
they're Bell Nukazon, is what you're saying.
Yes, yeah. You got to get those bells and then get on to Nookazon and then use the bells to buy a villager. I don't even like the whole sex trafficking, people trading. This has gone Nintendo. Come on. I thought this was a game for babies. And here we are doing sex favors for cash and then buying people off of Amazon. I don't know. Anyway.
It escalated quickly.
It did.
It's only been like a month. I'm amazed this much has happened already.
Well, here's the thing: is that the good side is that also people appear to be using Animal Crossing to go on like regular dates on Animal Crossing. Like some people are just taking the bells and running, but like some people are not. And in fact, there's a Twitch streamer in this article that they talked about who basically has changed her island. Her name is Lady Brittany. Changed her island to be like a date spot. So it's like you can connect to somebody else and then go to her island, and it's all set up to have like a little fountain to pose at. And apparently she'll actually go in and like if people don't want to take their own pictures, she'll go and like be a photographer for them to take pictures of them on their date and then send it to them. I mean, Michael, I don't date, but like people who date a lot, they've got to be going nuts with the lockdown, right? Like, you know, they can't go dating anymore. They got to have something to do. And, you know, apparently ladies love the Animal Crossing, so
It's like going outside.
yeah. Let me ask you a question. Let's say that you were you were like on social media, right? And just like some girl that you knew who you'd liked, and she was like, "Hey, Michael, I want to go on a date with you in Animal Crossing. Would you shell out the money to buy and play Animal Crossing in order to get enough things to go on a date with somebody in Animal Crossing? Would you pay the upfront $60 for Animal Crossing in order to go on a date inside of Animal Crossing?"
I feel like there's a time limit to that, though, and I don't know if I'd have enough time to get past the tutorial.
Tutorial takes about 40 minutes. It's fine.
I don't know. I'm really bad at those kinds of games. I don't have the patience and stuff. I would show up as like the default ass villager and be like, "Here's my tent," because I never bothered getting the house kind of thing.
Yo, baby,
Like,
you
I'd
want to
have
come back to my tent? I've got a cot and a lantern. I'm not into material objects, sweetheart. I just
Exactly.
You got all me here. All I do is trap villagers on my island in a little pen that I've created and irritate them.
I'll try to make a tuxedo shirt though, because I do know that's something you can make in that game.
Yes. Well, hey, you know what? That's actually great, because I'll tell you what else you can make in Animal Crossing. And that is you can make oh my God. You can make protests against the Chinese government about Hong Kong's freedom. Yep. Apparently some people in Hong Kong were using Animal Crossing because the thing is that, Nintendo in their infinite wisdom has allowed people to just, do whatever they want to. And apparently one of the things they want to do to just draw whatever they want to. And we already had a story about people turning their islands into like murder palaces because you could just draw like blood and bloody shirts and like ski masks and stuff.
Yeah.
But apparently some people in Hong Kong are using this to do like, free Hong Kong protests inside of Animal Crossing. And this has led to Animal Crossing being delisted on store sites in China.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Boy. Yep. So, this is the latest in a strange thing. There's one of a bunch of Animal Crossing people all lined up, like slapping, I believe it's Carrie Lamb's face with bats. Like, it's kind of amazing what's going on in this video that we're watching right now. But
the clapping group of people is really sells that moment.
Yeah. So apparently, at this point, also there's a couple of websites in China, Pinduoduo and Daobao. Daobao, which is like a place where people could sell stuff to each other. All the users on there have been contacted saying, like, you can't sell this in China, no mas. And yeah, because the Chinese government has no sense of humor, Michael.
They have no chill.
No chill. They're the illest. They're not the chillest. They're the illest of all. I don't know. Like, you know how when somebody's irritating you, you're supposed to just like ignore them and not let on that they're making you mad. I think China should adopt like a real laid back approach to foreign policy. Just be like, whatever. Our president does look like Winnie the Pooh. He should dress up like Winnie the Pooh and lean into it, and then he takes away the power that everyone has over him. See, then you can do all your horrible human rights stuff, and people will be less like laughing at you, but probably not. They'll probably still be laughing at you.
Probably, yeah.
I don't want to live in China. That's just what I'm saying.
You shouldn't want to live in China. At least us specifically. I'm not saying the China. Never mind. I'm not going into that.
Yeah, we're way out on a limb over here. Maybe we should stop this particular thing and move on to another story. Well, speaking of things that are banned, this is so weird. All right, Michael, are you ready? There's a League of Legends player named Corona. His name is Joao Corona. That is his name. His last name is Corona. And apparently he eventually changed his name in League of Legends he started off as his name as Squid Corona, and then apparently whoever had the original, they they dropped it. And so he was like, oh, cool, I could just have the name Corona. Well, apparently on April 1st, which is a really bad date to do this, Riot Software, they sent him a message saying that his username was a banned word, and if he wanted to keep playing, he would need to change his name. And he was like, lol. And then he was like, wait, is that for real? And they were like, yes. And he said, well, this is my name. Like, this is my actual human name. And they were like, yeah. So apparently he emailed their support, and they kind of said they would get back to him. And then when they got back to him, they said, no, really, you do have to change your name. And then he kind of went on Twitter. You know how this thing goes where, like, a company's trying to do something
back and forth
stupid, right? And then you go on Twitter and you're like, hey, so-and-so, why are you trying to say that my last name is against your terms of service? And then they're like, all right, guys, all right, fucking shut up and let it go. So right now, he's back to having his name, and Riot is looking into it. But just what a horrible... I was playing...
Jesus Christ.
I played Call of Duty Warzone with Jason Murphy, and people who are listening to this have already seen that video. And there was somebody that was put onto our team whose clan name was COVID-19 and whose name was like COVID forever in Call of Duty Warzone. And I was just like, yeah, you know what? That seems about right. That seems about right.
That sounds about right, Internet.
Yeah. So the strange thing was, like, I don't know that there's a place in Call of Duty Warzone for you to change your screen name, which means that person either applied on the PlayStation Network for a change in their actual username, or they created a brand new account just to have that username. And my question is, but why? But why?
Oh my God, they had to have beaten somebody to get to that name is the thing that makes me laugh even more about it.
Yeah. There's got to be somebody else out there who's like, all right, here we go. COVID forever. Oh, son of a bitch. No. Oh, okay. COVID forever 420. That one too. You. Ooh.
He's going to put all the X's in the beginning and at the end. It's the only way to get it now.
Yep. Well, speaking of games that you need to put all your X's at the beginning of the end to play, Michael, everybody's going crazy right now for Valorant. Do you know anything about Valorant?
Vaguely.
So Valorant is Riot Games' new kind of online game. I've actually been watching some streams of it, hoping for a key drop for it. But it seems like a cross between, like, Counter-Strike and then something like, I don't know. It seems like they've got some powers, kind of Overwatchy powers, but then it's one of those, like, 6v6, and then when you die, you're dead until the round is over. And then when you come back, like, you got to buy all your stuff over again, like Counter-Strike, like CSGO.
Okay.
But then you also have some powers. Like, people have different powers that they can use. It seems interesting, and, like, the people on Twitch are playing the shit out of it. But there was a little bit of a weird controversy with this last week, where it turns out that Valorant, the game, has a anti-cheat software called Vanguard. And Vanguard is installed so deep in your system that when you boot your computer up, it's like it's a Ring 0 Windows kernel process that, like, it's not like a piece of software that runs when you start up. It's like part of the startup services for Windows that's so deeply embedded that when you boot your computer, it starts running and it doesn't stop the entire time your computer is on. Which, as you can imagine, people are like, what? No.
Yeah, what the fuck?
So this week, Riot Games put out a statement basically saying that the reason they're doing this is because a lot of the cheat software runs kind of like above the game executable. And so this is like one of the only ways to detect cheating before the game executable even launches, by having this thing run in the background all the time. And apparently it is not supposed to run at any point except when Valorant is running, which maybe, but I don't want some system process running, like, while I'm just to fucking keep people out of cheating in a multiplayer game. Like, I don't know.
It's super fishy and super sketchy.
Yeah.
And also, all your Chrome windows are already taking up all your your memory and stuff. You don't need any more stuff going on with it.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. Apparently, this has kind of been one of those things where Riot has said that if this turns out to be like a major complaint for a lot of different people, that they will lighten up on it or change it or whatever, because Valorant's still like way early in beta.
It's going to be a complaint.
Well, sure, but then again, how long have people been? What's that DRM on the PC that everybody hates? That was in Sonic and Resident Evil and the one that
everybody just hacked around it. So
the one that checks online all the time. I keep forgetting what it's called. But
I can't remember.
Yeah,
I don't PC game very often. So,
but yeah, I got a feeling it might kind of end up being like that. Boy, I can't find it. Anyway, enough of that. A little bit more about Valorant. Apparently, Riot Games is not going to be starting their own esports league for Valorant. They actually do have their own esports league for League of Legends, but Valorant, they're going to be kind of outsourcing to third parties, a lot like Counter-Strike does, because it's more of that type of game. So it'll be interesting to kind of see what happens. I'm going to be very curious to see whether this software, whether this game is a big thing, like whether it ends up taking off. Like the people that I saw playing it on Twitch, man, those guys were like super serious about playing it. Like this wasn't like messy, we're just having some fun. This was like a bunch of people that were super on voice comms, talking to each other like a bunch of Navy SEALs, get really mad every time they lost. I was like, I don't know if I want to play this. This seems a little intense.
That's the hard thing about playing any multiplayer game nowadays, is that you'll run into that group and you're just like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah. Well, speaking of streaming video games online, we got a news update from Gamescom this week that apparently Gamescom 2020 is still going to be a thing, just an all-digital thing. So, unlike E3, it looks like Gamescom is actually going to be trying to put together a digital show around the time that Gamescom would have normally been going on, instead of just kind of leaving developers to their own devices, like the ESA is doing with E3 this year. So that will be nice. On August 31st.
E3 couldn't adapt even if it, like, even before now. Like, I think it's nice that Gamescom is trying something. So we'll see how it plays out, really.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the ESA, apparently the ESRB, maybe those two aren't linked, I just rhymed that. Speaking of words to start with ESA, the ESRB and PEGI have announced this week that they will be continuing to keep rating games remotely over the course of the lockdown, which is actually really good news, as much as I'm not a huge fan of ESRB ratings. I mean, I get it, right? Parents can't be bothered to, like, read a thing. Obviously, you just need a giant sticker on the front of a box. But apparently, they set up in March to basically keep rating games over the course of however long the lockdown lasts, which is good, because without a rating, a lot of those games wouldn't get into the hands of... they could be delayed in releasing.
Yeah.
So.
By default, they're all AO.
Yes.
Even the Mario games.
That's what they've done, is they've just made everything E for everyone from now on. And they've taken all of the, or you know what? Can you imagine if there was just if there was a thing that was just like E for everyone, and then just every single like content warning below it, where it was like violence, sexual content, like
nudity.
Yeah, a lot of nudity. Apparently,
this is a Mario Party game.
Apparently, that's a big deal, though, because apparently CERO, C-E-R-O, which is the Japanese version of the ESRB, is shut down until May 6th, at least.
Oh, wow.
So we might end up seeing some delays. I don't know. I haven't seen anything delay-wise come through yet, but who knows? I don't know. Additionally, the ESRB also announced this week that they're going to add to the ratings a new category that basically says in-game purchases. Includes in-game purchases is already on there, but they're going to add a new one that says includes random items. This will be used for basically loot boxes and anything in a game that has a randomized in-game purchase. Now, what's interesting is this has drawn a lot of really strange attention, because they asked, I'm actually reading off of the ESRB's website, but they asked basically, why doesn't it just say loot boxes? And And their answer was, well, not all in-game randomized purchases are a loot box, number one. So there are other ways of doing randomized things that are technically not like opening a box.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Like a
And
slot
then
machine.
apparently one of the other things that they said, which I did not know about, was the ESRB did a huge survey. Apparently only about a third of parents know what a loot box is. Like if you say, this has a loot box in it, they will say, what is a loot box? And I say to that, it seems to me that the solution here is to educate parents on what the fuck a loot box is instead of changing this to, because if you were a dumb parent that didn't know anything about video games, Michael, and you saw this thing that just says includes random items underneath a thing that says in-game purchases, right? The thing is that's weird to me is they didn't connect in-game purchases with includes random items. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know that if parents are already dumb and stupid and they don't know that they can fucking protect their children, they want everybody else to protect their children. Like, I don't think that this is going to get across to them what is happening inside of this video game.
It barely gives me what's going on with this thing, and I know what this means. It's like you said, it's not even in the same line. It just seems like a random piece of it, which makes very little sense outside of that.
Yeah, it just says in-game purchases, and then underneath, yes, parentheses includes random items. Like, I don't know. This just seems like one of those things. The only like good thing about this is that I have a feeling the only reason they put this on the sticker to begin with is because the fervor or the that companies putting loot boxes in their in every single game, that fad died out pretty quick once everybody turned and got the pitchforks and torches out and was like, no, and like, you know, we'd like legislators and you got to go before the parliament and shit, you know. Is that now they're like, well, nobody's really doing it as much anymore, so we can put it on the box. Even though the ESRB was the one that was like, it's not gambling, it's fine, it's fine. So
they got to do something. They're scared. They're scared of the 1,000 moms or whatever the fuck they're called from coming and taking their monies or something. I don't know. It's ridiculous.
Wait, which 1,000 moms? Are there 1,000 moms somewhere? Because I haven't had a date outside Animal Crossing in a long time. So
I don't know. Maybe they're not outside right now.
Maybe I could hold a seminar where they all stand 6 feet apart, and I could explain to them the random items from the in-game purchases. And then afterwards, we could have a 6 feet away date with all those moms out there. Moms.
Wink, wink.
This is not going the way I thought it was. Speaking of things that are relevant to children, let's talk about Fortnite real fast. Apparently, Fortnite Chapter 2 from Season 2 is going to be extended until June, as opposed to ending on April 30th when it was normally supposed to end. So if you're looking for a chance to get all that weird Meowscles skins and Deadpool skins and Spy stuff and whatever people do in Fortnite, you have a little bit of extra time to do so. I know, Michael, that you're a big fan of Fortnite, so I know that you're just clamoring to get back in there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's half a fortnight or whatever the time frame fortnights are.
Yeah. Additionally, in other news of things, what are popular with the youths, if you have a super powerful video card, like a lot of young children do, Minecraft has a ray tracing beta that kicked off this week. Michael, have you been keeping up with ray tracing?
I've had a bunch of people on my feed, like my Facebook feed, talk about it, but I don't know enough about it to really know what's going on. A lot of memes, though, about it.
Basically, what it is it's basically a way for light sources to actually cast light, cast dynamic shadows, and then for the light and the shadows to kind of interact with each other in a way that creates like a much more naturalistic lighting engine. And I actually watched like a full 20-minute kind of walkthrough of this, and it looks really nice. Like some of these examples look a little washed out, and it's kind of strange looking, but there's a lot of it where you could see like in in some of the outdoor, there's a lot of like you can see light refract through like the water in the game now. Like the shadows are cast really, really dynamically. It gets a lot darker if there's not a light source. The thing that was most impressive to me was that apparently when the lights, if you have like two colored lights and they splash over each other, like their intersection acts like a normal light where they connect.
Oh, wow.
And so you end up with what would look like more realistic stuff, including reflections and things like that. It's really impressive. I mean, it only works with like the most brand new batshit hot insane video cards on the planet. But I have a feeling this is going to be the thing. One of the things for the next generation is going to be a big push for ray tracing. But apparently you could sign up for this in the Xbox Insiders program. You could download the current version of Minecraft, and they have like 9 worlds that have been specially put together to kind of show off the way that the ray tracing changes the game. So, I don't know. I actually think it's kind of smart to start with Minecraft because it's so simple that, like, you don't have to worry about, like, I can only imagine what this ray tracing would look like in something like Resident Evil where you've got, like, a whole, like, table full of garbage. The light has to jimmy off every individual side and angle and shit in.
It's a great thing to try with, yeah, because also the sheer amount of stuff people build, it's going to get even wackier with all this stuff on.
Yep, but you can try that right now. So, yeah, give it a shot. It's already kicked off. Let's see. All right, so that was all good stuff. Let's talk about the weirdest story so far. Michael, are you ready for a weird story?
I have vague notions of what this is because of a What Happened video.
Yes.
From recently.
Yes.
'Cause fuck.
Yes. So, okay. People might know that there was, kind of still is, a
Shrugging.
new Cooking Mama game called Cooking Mama Cookstar out that was apparently, okay, I only ever heard that there was a new Cooking Mama game out when there was a rumor that started the Cooking Mama Cookstar was mining Bitcoin with your Switch in the background.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which turned out not to be true, but it's apparently, by all accounts, a really bad game. Now, don't go looking for this on the Switch store because it's not on the Switch store anymore. It was on for like a day, and then it got delisted. Apparently, there are some physical copies out in the world. Some other regions still have it on the store, and some places still have it in physical stores. But this is so weird because apparently, just to kind of break it down for you, what happened here was there's 2 companies you need to know about. There is Planet Entertainment, and then there is Office Create. Okay, so Office Create owns the Cooking Mama franchise, and they licensed Cooking Mama out to this company called Planet Entertainment to make a new Cooking Mama game. And then apparently Planet Entertainment made Cooking Mama Cookstar and then like sent it over to Office Create, and Office Create was like, no, this is not good enough. We need to work on this further, or maybe even scrap it and start over because it's not as good as a Cooking Mama game needs to be. And this is where things get interesting because apparently Planet Entertainment was like, nah, and just put it on the Switch store as is. Like, just fucking put that shit up there in direct contradiction to the license holders' wishes. And that's how we got this fucked up thing. And apparently it's going to get even weirder because now Office Creates is basically in a struggle trying to get this game out of stores, out of hands, and get the rights out from Planet Entertainment. Because Planet Entertainment apparently was just... I love it. Sometimes, Michael, sometimes in the business world, a company really surprises you, but just going like, nah, I'm just going to do whatever the fuck I want to. And like, let's get sorted out in court, but it's going to be 4 years because we're going to fight you every step of the way. I pay a guy for legal fees and fuck you. So
fucking Cooking Mama, of all the franchises in the world, is where this batshit insanity came from.
Yep.
That blows my mind.
Apparently, over the next few years, we are going to be watching the legal battle between the license holder of Cooking Mama and the weird company that made this game. So
that's fucking crazy.
Get ready for a Cooking Mama lawsuit, I guess.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. Even more insane, or less insane, or equally insane, depending on your bar for insanity, Sony is giving away some free games. Sony has announced this play-at-home initiative where they're like, hey, everybody, we're Sony, and we're trying to do our thing to make you stay at home. So if you've got a PlayStation 4, apparently between April 15th and May 5th, you can pick up the Uncharted collection, whole thing, 3 games, and Journey, which is actually kind of a cool game to play, right? Because the multiplayer...
yes.
And these are just for free. You don't have to have, I don't think you have to have Plus or anything. You just go fucking download Uncharted and Journey and play them. And that's pretty cool. It's like
it's great. And plus Uncharted 4 is on the PlayStation Plus free right now.
Mm-hmm.
So that means you could have all of the mainline games like right now.
Yep. For the low price of $0.00. Apparently, if you're in China and Germany, you won't be getting Uncharted, but you'll be getting Knack 2 instead.
Oh my god!
Which I can't think of what did Germany and China do wrong? I mean, I know China stopped selling Animal Crossing. Is this because of that? They're like, stop selling Animal Crossing, will ya? We're gonna punish you with Knack 2, you sons of bitches. Like,
maybe they like Knack 2 better there. I don't know.
I get the feeling that it might have something to do with. So Germany might not be getting it because Uncharted 1 has Nazis in it.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Has a Nazi submarine at least and some Nazi stuff in it. I don't know if China also doesn't allow Nazis. Is there anything?
I don't think they don't like ghosts.
No. It's Uncharted 2 when they go to like Shambhala or something like that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because it's in Tibet, and that's a whole thing.
That's a whole thing, yeah.
Is that the thing?
That's the whole thing in that game. Yeah, it might be, actually. But like I said, they also don't like ghosts. So, and the first one just kind of has that sort of idea.
Does it?
As well as, yeah. Well, because you think they're ghosts at first kind of thing, but then it's a whole thing.
Oh, okay. It's been a while.
Shit's crazy. They don't like supernatural things in general, so.
Okay. Yep. Speaking of PlayStation, we also had a report from... where did this come from? Basically, it was a PlayStation Magazine UK said that for backwards compatibility, apparently PlayStation 5 backwards compatibility is going to have almost 4,000 PS4 backwards compatible games at launch. So I think that when they were talking about the backwards compatibility, there were a lot of people that were a little bummed because they said that not everything was going to be compatible. And I think some people had interpreted the backwards compatibility to be like, oh, there's going to be like 5 games that are backwards compatible on the PS5.
All Knack 2.
It's all Knack 2. Just Knack 2. Just Knack and Knack 2. And then, different localizations of Knack and Knack 2.
Exactly.
Yeah. But no, there's going to be almost 4,000 games. So this seems to be a lot like I think that the people that are worried about backwards compatibility, I think that the hardware manufacturers have gotten the message, right? You all want backwards compatibility. We're going to put a whole bunch of backwards compatibility in. So.
And odds are the ones that aren't going to be backwards compatible are the ones that no one's going to care about.
Yes. Like, are you really going to care about Zombieland Double Tap Road Trip not being backwards compatible on the PlayStation 5? Because you shouldn't, and you should.
Voice to text command's going to come up.
Shouldn't play that game. I hate that game so much.
Guys, you should really watch that Patreon video because we lose it when that fucking happens. Voice to text thing.
Oh,
yeah. Amazing.
Yep. That was like it's just broken. It's just like broken. It's a broken fucking game. Anyway, games that hopefully will not be broken include Marvel's The Avengers. And we actually got like a little information about The Avengers this week. We got a game overview trailer that basically had a little bit more than just kind of the same things we've seen over and over again. It definitely started that way, but then it went into kind of talking about what the game is going to be like. They talked about advanced idea mechanics. I always love them as a bad guy.
Yeah.
I just wish they had the big hats, or I don't know. We didn't see them. Maybe they do have the big hats. Apparently, there are going to be a lot of robots, and apparently, the Avengers are going to be operating out of like a disused, crashed helicarrier. And then you're going to have different types of missions that you can go on. You're going to have like kind of grindy missions and then story missions. And then everybody's going to a lot of the heroes are going to have their own missions. There's going to be a bunch of like skin loadouts and like skill tree loadouts. This is more what I wanted to see from this game, honestly. Like, I wanted to see something like this. The only thing I really want to see now, Michael, is I want to see like a whole walkthrough of a mission.
Absolutely. we've been shown literally the exact same tutorial level for like a year.
Yeah.
Now, and I was getting tired of it. My enthusiasm for this game is long gone, kind of thing.
Did this
when
do
they finally showed this? Yeah, no, it did nothing. It was just like, hey, like you can hang out with your friends and stuff. I'm like, I still don't really see anything going on here. It's like, yeah, look at how great Kamala Khan is. I'm like, that's cool, but is there anything else? It's like, not really. It's like customization options. I'm like, cool. What about the gameplay? Customization options. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah. I don't know.
It just rubs me the wrong way every time they come up with something new for it.
I really feel like it's going to end up being like a cross between Anthem and Destiny, right? It's going to be third person like Anthem, and then it's going to have a lot of emphasis on like stats and gear and stuff like Destiny does. I don't know.
It better be fun to play is really what it comes down to. But they haven't really shown enough for me to say yay or nay to that. So
yeah, that's true. That's true. I'll tell you what they showed a lot about though is surprise everybody. There's a new XCOM game coming out next week. Like on Friday of next week.
Yeah.
I gotta say, man, this is how you do it. This is how you announce a motherfucking video game, because like they announced this and they put out a little story trailer. They put out a God, we just got an ad on this YouTube video with a mom playing Animal Crossing. There's Animal Crossing moms. But yeah, this is going to be set in like a fictitious, fictitious, as opposed to the real XCOM, the documentary. Yeah. But it's like a city where humans and aliens are kind of trying to live together, and then you're basically playing as like a weird police force called Chimera that's a mix of like humans and some of the aliens, and then you're going in and kind of doing these breaches and clearies, and yeah, it looks like it's got a lot of like XCOM energy to it. Yeah. I honestly had forgotten about XCOM until this came out, Michael. Like, I don't know. It was just, here's some XCOM. I was like, oh shit, right, that's a thing, and it was good.
Yeah, I don't know. Like the XCOM has been hit or miss for a lot of people. Even I didn't mean for that to be a pun involving XCOM, but it is what it is.
Well, it only misses if the chance to hit is 90% or lower. So,
exactly.
But yeah, this looks really good. Like, it looks really good, and it's coming out on Friday. It looks like more XCOM. There's going to be it very much looks different from what was going on before. It looks like instead of the big thing I'm going to be curious about, though, is whether people are going to be mad about the fact that the characters are all like characters. They're not. You don't build your own characters like you do in the previous XCOM games. So they all have like personalities. There's also slight difference to the mechanics, but they put out a fucking 6.5 minute video explaining those differences. So like, great, wonderful. I'm totally going to play this unless there's something else out next Friday, which there is, I think, and I've already forgotten what it is, which is
I'm
a
sure
good
it's
sign.
fine.
Yeah. Let's see. Other trailers that we had. We got a trailer for Sekiro Wars that was anime AF.
Yeah.
I don't know why I have never heard of Sakura Wars, and then like starting 20 days ago, it's just like every fucking week there's like 3 trailers for Sakura Wars. So there's like an anime on Crunchyroll, and just it's insane. I think this is coming out next Friday, right? I think this might be on the 24th. No, it's 20.
Oh yeah, no, it's pretty soon though. Very close.
Yeah. It looks pretty good. I don't know. I'm still a little conflicted about the little squat mechs, but it looks like just a bunch of anime ding dong fun, yeah. Everybody's gonna yell at each other. There's some evil wizards. There's mech suits with swords. There's like dragons and shit. So yeah, I guess we'll do that. I'm actually much more excited though, because we got our first trailer for Little Hope, which is the next Man of Medan episode.
Oh yes.
Which I really enjoyed. Dark Pictures. So Man of Medan was the first one, and I really enjoyed Man of Medan. And this looks like interesting. It looks like a, it's funny. Man of Medan actually had like half of the game took place in the past, and then half of it took place in the present. And this looks like it's going to be doing a similar thing, except the past is all like witch trials and witch burning and witches.
Yeah, it turned me into a newt.
Yep.
I got better.
And then the present is like the guy from Bandersnatch and his mom are trying to figure out witches or something.
Yeah, I don't know. It's something's happening in the present that involves whatever it's fucked up stuff's going on in the past there. But
I tell you what, I'm often just really impressed at the quality level of just the stuff that this studio puts out, right? Like all this looks really nice. It looks like it's got some really nice motion capture, really nice production values inside of the game. So yeah, and that's coming out in the summer, and I can't wait to play it. I don't know. Did you play Man of Medan?
No, I wanted to, but I never got a chance to.
Okay.
I watched your Let's Play of the whole thing, though.
Oh yeah, with Matt.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. Maybe we could do that again this year. Maybe Matt and I could do that again this year. The big problem, Michael, is that we do the Asylum every October, and it's like 5 days of horror games, and it's like, all right, well, we've been doing this for 7 years now. Every new horror game that came out, we've played for the dojo. Every old horror game we've played for the Asylum. So what's left is the bad horror games, like just the really crappy Steam ones that aren't very good. So.
Just got to play Knack games. It's horrifying.
Oh, God, not Knack. That's too scary. That's too scary. And then last but not least, for the Final Fantasy VII Remake, we had kind of a little like, hey, thank you for waiting trailer. I didn't actually watch this because I don't care about your thank yous, Square guy. But what I do care about was apparently inside of that trailer, there were several parts of the footage that had a little thing at the bottom that said, like, captured on a PC. So this indicates that there is a PC is running Final Fantasy VII, which we know that Final Fantasy VII is a timed exclusive for PS4. We also know that the PC, Square loves to put their shit out on the PC, so we seemingly have an indirect confirmation that Final Fantasy VII is going to be on the PC at some point. So
be prepared for Goose Barrett.
Oh, there you go. I would rather that. I would rather have Goose Barrett. I would rather have that.
That'd be amazing.
In other hugely high-profile news, Rockstar put out a report where they were talking about how they're changing their development culture to kind of help with the next project that they're doing, where they're trying to basically reorganize in a way that's not going to make these like super hellacious crunch times necessary. But part of this was confirming that they are working on a new Grand Theft Auto game. So there is some new Grand Theft Auto game in the pipe. There's also, though, confirmation that they might be trying to put out something smaller this time around. So instead of trying to put out something as big as Grand Theft Auto 5 or Red Dead 2, they might be trying to put out something that's kind of more medium-sized and then adding on to it over time instead of trying to put out this one monster-ass product, which I would appreciate if we didn't have to wait like 7 years between Grand Theft Autos to come out, because I like those games.
It's a nice idea, especially if they actually do come out with actual single player content more often than not. Because with the Grand Theft Auto 5, we got nothing single player wise. It's just all multiplayer content here and there. So I don't know. It'd be nice to get some more single player story stuff.
I agree. Speaking of single-player games, there was a rumor last week that Horizon Zero Dawn and Death Stranding were going to be coming to the PC. There were some Amazon listings on Amazon France of Days Gone and Gran Turismo Sport on the PC. There's also PC listings for Bloodborne and the Nathan Drake collection. Sony has come out and said, no, that is not a thing. This is not a thing. Now, who knows whether they are lying or not, because video game companies lie all the goddamn time. So it's possible that they might be putting it out depending on how well Horizon Zero Dawn sells on the PC. But I wouldn't hold your breath because there's still no telling how long it would be.
Yeah. I don't really have much to say on that one.
Yep. We also got news that in May, Phantasy Star Online 2 is coming to the PC in North America, finally. It's been on the Xbox One for a little while. It finally got officially released there. But apparently, if you want to play Phantasy Star Online 2 in the PC, you could play it at some point in May. I'm not interested in Phantasy Star 2, so,
good for those guys, though.
Yep.
Good for them.
It's an old-ass game, though, right? I mean, like, Phantasy Star Online 2...
it's been around for a while. But like a lot of people talked about wanting it for years. At least people I knew.
Original. It's like I thought it was like an original Xbox game. Is that right?
I think it started off Dreamcast wise, and then just sort of kept going from there.
Okay,
that was the thing. That's why it had such a rabid fan base for a while. It's one of those beloved things from the Dreamcast era that people wanted more of, kind of thing. So.
I kind of wish they would make a single-player Phantasy Star. I kind of wish they would remaster Phantasy Star 2 with all 3D graphics over the course of like 3 separate games that took 8 years to put out. That's kind of more what I'm at these days.
I'm sure it's fine.
Speaking of games that take 8 years to put out, Crysis is getting a remaster, Michael.
Yeah, maybe it'll finally run.
In their release trailer, they actually had a thing. I saw somebody that said, like, now that my computer can finally run Crysis, can you remaster it and put it out? So, yeah, original Crysis is getting remastered and put out. I think that's great. Original Crysis is fun as fuck.
Crysis had one of my favorite Back to the Future mods I'd ever seen.
Oh, yeah?
Somebody made a Back to the Future mod for Crysis, and what it was is that when you actually did go back in time, it had the ice cover on it, and it shot the smoke that comes out of the back part every single time you did it. Like, it was really detailed, because Crysis was such a detailed game that they made it super, super, like, detailed. It was crazy.
Okay. I'm curious to know, though, if this is going to be on console. Or no, it is going to be on consoles. It's going to be on the PS4, Xbox One, Switch. The Switch. Crysis can run on the Switch? I'm going to be really interested to see how that works.
Jesus.
Yep. So we're going to be seeing that, I believe it's a little later this year. And last but not least, a couple funzos. Michael, I got this one just for you. Apparently, there's an ex-Warner Brothers Montreal artist portfolio that had under some of the Arkham art a screenshot of what looked like Superman flying down into a place.
I heard about this recently because it turns out they were trying to make a Superman game for a while, and they just could never get it to work. They just consistently did it. Apparently, there's a lot of like leaks from before that turned out to be part of this as well. And another guy who worked on it as well threw it down. I think either on his Twitter or his portfolio, something like that, to show off what they had tried to do, and it was interesting. And it's a bummer that it never went anywhere.
Yeah, I don't understand why it's so goddamn hard to make a Superman game. I mean, like, look. How many Dragon Ball games have there been? And like, as I understand it, Goku is of a Superman power level, or at least they're in somewhat similar weight classes as far as power levels go. And yet we can't make a Superman game, but you can make 100 Dragon Ball games or 100 God of War games. Like, everyone's like, he's too powerful, but there's so many ways. There's so many enemies. Superman has problems fighting to death. You don't have to make it muggers. You can make it Darkseid and the fucking parademons and like the Mongol and the Manhunters. Like, there's so many things that are strong that Superman could fight. Or if you were lazy, if you were just a lazy fuck, you could get pulled into a magical realm by somebody, and then it could be magic that, Superman is vulnerable to, and then he can have to fight, and then he can have a new abilities. He has to build up his power again and get all these magical artifacts to make him into a magical Superman, and like learn lessons along the way about what it's like to not have powers. Look, I just wrote your fucking Superman game.
Yeah,
make a Superman game.
I want one so bad, and all they do is make Batman games. There's no other superheroes that they'll make games of in the DC universe, unless it's an MMO in some way.
What about a Nightwing game? Just Nightwing. Look, he's like Batman, but he's Nightwing. How about that? Just that. What about like Nightwing and Arsenal? Make it a co-op game, and we could just play that. What about that?
I'd play that.
What about a Green Arrow game? Where it's just the younger guy. I forget which one that is. Not Ollie. Connor. Just Connor.
Oh, okay. Just a Connor Hawk game.
Yeah. Just like Connor, and then like Impulse keeps showing up, and Connor's just like, God, Mondays, am I right? Impulse won't leave him alone. There's so many DC characters besides Batman.
So many.
And normally I would have said besides Batman and Superman, but at this point, I think it's been so long since I think good came out of Superman that I'm like, just something, please. Like, they're rebooting Batman again with this Robert Pattinson thing, and I'm just like, fuck, God, we couldn't even have, like, of the 3 Superman movies that we've had recently, 2 of them also had Batman in them. Like, it's just sorry.
Yeah. It's bad. Like, it frustrates me. Like, as much as I hate Frank Miller's Superman Year One, he still put Batman in it.
Yeah.
And it was like, come on, guys, stop. You can't make a Superman story and just put Batman in it every 20 seconds. I'm tired of it.
Yeah. And last but not least, one for Jeff from Rage Select. You know how PT gets made and redone and like analyzed and shit? Well, somebody made an adaptation of PT in the Macintosh software HyperCard, which I used to program in when I was 8 years old. That is not a lie. I went to science fair with a slideshow that I had created in Apple HyperCard, and I won second prize in state. So,
oh my God,
take that, nerds. Even though that one kid who was across from me, he erased my whole program when I went to go to lunch. But joke's on him, because I showed the judges what I had, an example of what I had done, and it looked a lot more complicated. But fuck that kid. He fucking deleted my HyperCard stack while I went to lunch. Bastard. But anyway, this is on itch.io. It's called Hyper PT. And like it does a pretty good job of simulating. If you ever wanted to know what it was like to play video games as like a 7-year-old Jeff, congratulations. You can now know, because there's totally a version of PT that you could play via this terrible old Apple programming language called HyperCard. So
I love that the internet does stuff like this. Like, I adore the fact that somebody looks at something super technologically advanced and says, but what if I made it like super simple?
Yep.
And then they just go for it every single time. And it's amazing every single time.
Yep. And speaking of going for it, we're going to go for a break right now. So everybody stick around, and we'll be back in just a minute. Michael, it is time for questions. Are you ready to answer questions, Michael?
Yes.
Okay,
Maybe.
It's a pretty big question mark at the end of there. Well,
it's a question. Apparently, you're not ready to answer questions.
I'm just here to comment.
Turned it on you.
That's right. I'm all addled. All right, well, our first question this week comes in from Bruno. Bruno has a big, long question. He says, hello, fellow followers of the Dong Lord. Bruno here, your only fan from Paraguay. I will keep saying that no matter what you say. You don't got to talk to me. You got to talk to all the other people from Paraguay who are Rage Select fans.
I don't know enough about it to argue against it.
Yep. He says, I hope you're surviving the semi-apocalypse, keeping safe and doing the social thing. Loving the dojo remote does. And speaking of which, first question, could you do a puppet intro with a co-host through a tablet/phone/computer screen? Just being curious. I could. I actually wanted to just briefly address this because there's actually been some changes that I'm not going to go into in the life of Jeff, where my time has become a little bit more limited than it used to. So I think the reason that the puppet intros kind of got nixed was a lot of it was I didn't have any really good like ideas, and then doing it was just like so much extra time. So I don't know. Maybe we'll figure something else out. Whenever I have a camera turned on, which has happened a lot more recently, I feel like having I did a Zoom call with my aunts and my parents last week, and I was just hey, check out this Jeff puppet. And then I made my background in the Zoom call because I had my green screen. I made my background of the Zoom call me playing Resident Evil 3. So it had Jeff playing Resident Evil 3, Jeff on a webcam, and Jeff with the Jeff puppet. There were 3 Jeffs in the same video. It was pretty amazing.
Oh, God.
Yep. So I don't know, probably not, but we'll see what happens. Second question. In the last podcast, you said that you always talk about the same 6 or 7 games and thinking of answers or examples. So let's hear about other games, shall we? I would like to know your opinions on some games I have played recently. All right, Michael, you ready to do some opinions?
Sure.
All right. First one, Horizon. What's that?
It's about Knack.
No, it's not about Knack. I wouldn't read.
Okay.
I would read a question.
Then I have no idea what to talk about.
Knack in it. Horizon Zero Dawn. I loved it. I like the cinematic story-driven games. I clocked 110 hours playing the game. Yeah, I liked Horizon Zero Dawn. I thought it was real fun. I thought it was kind of a good example. In my opinion, it's kind of like a lesser version of Spider-Man, where it's like, oh, this is a really good open world game with a lot of cool mechanics that I have fun playing. Once I was done, though, I was like, I'm done with that. Like, let's move on to the next thing. I don't know. Did you play Horizon Zero Dawn?
I did. I never finished it, but ironically, the reason I didn't finish it is because there was so much to do that, like, the first time the game really gets you out in the world, I was overwhelmed by what I could do, and I ended up like going too far out in the map, and I was just like, I don't know where I am anymore. I don't even know what the plot is anymore. There was a point where a friend of mine had the same thing happen to him. We ended up in an area. And we're like, how come we can't get past this point? It's like, it turns out it was like end game area stuff where you just like, I just like traveled too far to that point. I was just like, oh shit, I shouldn't be doing this.
Wow, that's kind of the polar opposite of what I did, because I think that I like, whenever I play an open world game like that, I tend to like exhaust every single thing available in the area that I'm in before I move on, so that I never have to go backwards. I don't ever want to go backwards in an open world game.
Oh, okay.
Titanfall.
I was so curious. The place was so big.
Oh, yeah, no, I get that. Titanfall 2. Too short for my taste. I thought it had good gameplay and game mechanics. The story was decent, interesting. Will not play the multiplayer. I don't do multiplayer. I love Titanfall 2. I think that Titanfall 2 is a great snack game where you could basically just like kind of play it through in an afternoon and you're done, right? I think we did 3 2-hour live streams and we were done with that. It was like 5 hours, maybe 6. And I like the fact I'd rather have a game be too short than too long. I'd always rather have a game end and I'll be like, oh man, I was having so much fun, than be like, more? Is there more of this? I don't want to. So I'm a big fan of games that get to the point quickly, iterate quickly, and don't wear out their welcome. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I kind of agree mostly with what he said. It's a really fun game. It was too short, unfortunately. And by the time I actually got to play it, the multiplayer had kind of died down, so I ended up not really doing that part.
The multiplayer in that game was really fun while it lasted. I mean, I think that Titanfall, both 1 and 2, have like a level of multiplayer that is... I've never played anything like it before. Like the on-foot stuff is so dynamic, and then the mech stuff is so fun that I had a good time even when I lost. Boy, these are some games I don't think that... You'd probably have to ask John about Armello. Do you remember Armello?
No.
It was like a weird card game with like a rabbit that we played, I think, on a super awesome video game show one time. It's like a digital board game, basically. It was really, really interesting, but I never really played that much of it. And I doubt, Michael, that you played it at all.
No, I never even had no idea it even existed.
Yep. Well, you should have watched a super awesome video game show.
I thought I watched them all. Apparently not.
Maze, which was the game about sentient corn, we played a long time ago. I don't know.
I remember that, but I don't remember. I never played it. So
yeah, I never played much past what was on the what we played when we did the video for it. He says, your dojo made it look fun. I hated it. Awful mechanics. Got tired of the jokes really fast. So, all right. Well, there you go. And
it's fair.
Lastly, Salt and Sanctuary. What can I say? I liked playing this one for the first 3 hours, but after that I stopped. I don't think I got what it takes to play the Souls games. Well, if you're playing Salt and Sanctuary, you picked kind of a bad example of Souls games, because that one is kind of repetitive, and I don't think it really does a good job of kind of going into like what makes a Souls game good. You didn't play Salt and Sanctuary, I assume.
Oh, actually, no. I tried it years after it came out, because it was the first like big Dark Souls clone that wasn't like a full 3D kind of Dark Souls thing, and I thought it was okay, but it wasn't for me, and so I stopped after like an hour. I just didn't really get into it.
Okay, I get that. Yeah, I plowed my way all the way through to the end, and it was let's just say it wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth it. So. And the last question, man, Bruno, you got so many questions. One of my all-time favorite series is Dead Space, 1 and 2 actually, but I can't play them anymore. I sold my PS3, and there are no plans I know of making a port or a remake for the PS4. Is there any game that can replace my Dead Space desires? Thanks for the amazing content, longtime viewer and listener, and that's from Bruno. You're a big Dead Space fan, right?
I am. I love the Dead Spaces. Luckily, I still have my 360 that has 1 on it. I didn't buy 2 for it. I should have, but I never did. I don't know of any games that would be like exactly like that. Is the thing. I think Alien Isolation is kind of similar with the whole isolating feeling on an alien, like on a spaceship kind of thing. There aren't a lot of games that have that exact same scenario, for that matter. And so, I think the only other close thing that may be kind of similar is the Resident Evil remakes, because it has that same third-person back kind of thing with the uneasiness of the hallways and stuff, that kind of thing, and the sound design. But that's really the only thing off the top of my head that I could probably compare it to.
That's interesting, because I looked it up on Steam, and it was talking about it just like customers who bought Dead Space. What else did they buy? And like RE2 and 3 are on there. And now that I think about it, RE2 and 3 are probably the closest gameplay wise to Dead Space, and the kind of minimal HUD, a lot of kind of inventory management, enemies that you have to take out like in kind of specific ways to be efficient, upgrades for weapons and stuff. So another one that's on this list that might work for you would be Prey, even though it's first person and not third person, and it's more of a vent crawler than like an action game.
I could definitely see that, because it does have the same sort of atmosphere as Dead Space does. But it's really good, though. Honestly, Prey is fantastic. And Prey is one of the few games that exists that gives you a bunch of stuff to let you get past ways that most people have never said the same thing on sometimes. So
yeah. I'm trying to look at some other stuff online. This list is kind of whack, but I mean, God damn it. This is on IGDB.com, and this is like, games like Dead Space. Murdered Soul Suspect is not like Dead Space. IGDB.com.
It's got death in it.
Yes, that's true.
Same thing.
Does have death in it.
Everything's the same as that.
If you can get to the first person and you've got a PC, but if you have a PC, I assume you'd be playing Dead Space on the PC. I like Singularity a lot. One of these days, man, I'm going to get fucking Singularity on this channel in full playthrough. Nobody's going to stop me one of these days. I don't care if I got to do it by myself. But yeah, it's, I guess, what's interesting is I don't know what, from the list of stuff that you've got one of the next-gen consoles, Horizon Zero Dawn, Armello, Maze, Salt and Sanctuary. If you have an Xbox One, is Dead Space backwards compatible on the Xbox One?
I haven't checked. I wouldn't be surprised. But I'd really have to check on that.
Dead Space is backwards compatible on the Xbox One. So even if you have an Xbox One, you could totally play it as backwards compatible 360 game there, and it would get a little bit of a boost. So there is that. Oh, Michael, before we go, I went to this website. I went to Polygon, and there's a bunch of ads. Did you watch the new episode of What We Do in the Shadows yet?
I did. I saw that this morning.
Okay, I haven't watched it yet. Is it good?
Yeah, they're both great, because they came out with 2 new ones.
Yay!
The first one is about a new familiar that everybody has, or that they have, and the second one's about ghosts.
Okay.
I don't want to spoil it other than that, because they're both really funny.
Okay. I really like that show, so I was really excited to see if there was some new episodes.
All on Hulu, by the way. So every time a new one comes out, it's on Hulu the next day. So you don't have to worry about waiting for too long, kind of thing.
Yeah, because now that my weekly trip to My Hero Academia is over, I got to find some new stuff to fill the void. Devs is also almost over. Better Call Saul has got one more episode left, I think. So I'm starting to run out. Fortunately, I still have Scrubs going, so you can always just down 2 episodes of Scrubs if you need to kill an hour.
How far are you in the Scrubs now?
Season 2 early.
Oh, geez. So you're not even that far still.
I'm not. Well, the thing is that, like, not to go into it too much, but like I was talking before about how there's been some life change circumstance differences with Jeff. And like, the week that Chris was like, hey, Jeff, you should check out The Magicians. And I'm like, yeah, I binge watched it in 4 days. Like, how much? All of it. I'm at the latest episode in 4 days. Like, you must have done nothing but watch The Magicians. And I'm like, yes, that is what I did. Is I did nothing but watch back-to-back episodes, and now I don't have time for that shit anymore. So I have to be like super choosy. I'm on that trip, Michael, where like when I eat lunch or dinner, I watch 1 episode of Scrubs. So I'm like watching 2 episodes a day, like 1 at lunch, 1 at dinner, and that's all I can really take. So
I gotcha. You got a lot still, because like I said, there's 8 seasons of the main plot, and then the 9th one was kind of a spinoff technically. So
I was mad that they, at the beginning of season 2, for like 1 episode, there was a different intro, and then they went back to the intro from season 1. There was like one episode where it was a longer intro than the intro from season 1, where they're in that one room and they're crossfading between all the different people, and then this one was like going all over the hospital, and here's the janitor, and here's all these different people, and I was like, I don't like this longer version of this song, and then they just like went back to the season 1, and I was like,
is that the one where they flipped the X-ray or whatever?
I think so. Yeah,
because apparently like the X-ray was backwards, and a doctor had like called them to tell them that it was backwards because a bunch of interns kept bringing up the X-ray. And so they had to flipped it for them specifically. So yeah.
Damn it, people! Just leave it alone. It was a good intro. It was very short.
I
like a short intro on my shows. I don't want to have to skip intro. All right. Angie writes in and says, "Hello, Jeff and Michael. So I've been instructed to stay at home for the next month due to the fact that my immune system is compromised. This time off it really clarified some things for me. The first being how much I hate my job. I seriously thought I was clinically depressed. Then COVID-19 comes up, and I suddenly don't have to deal with all the crap on a daily basis. It's amazing how much my outlook on life has improved in the brief time that I've been quarantined. I've actively started looking for jobs. I was wondering if you guys had any tips on acquiring a job, any advice or interviewing skills. Stay awesome, as always, Angie." Michael, you've gone through a lot of jobs over the last couple of years.
I've gone through quite a few of them last 3 or 4 years.
What's your?
A lot of it's just.
Where do you look for them? Where do you look for them?
A lot of times I ask around for people that I worked with because a lot of them have also lost jobs over the years, and I end up kind of following where they ended up going, kind of thing.
Okay.
Also, my brother kind of works in the same kind of field that I did for a bit, and so he gave me some, and I ended up working for one of them at one point before they laid me off, and a lot of it just comes down to that, as well as sometimes I used LinkedIn for a bit. I also used what's the name of it? Indeed. I used Indeed for a little bit. That's how I got my not this job, but my last job. I got through Indeed. And there was another one that I'd used. I think it was Monster. I tried out, but I never got any success with Monster personally. And a lot of interview stuff just comes down to eye contact. A lot of times, just don't look like a crazy person. Don't start looking around at everything and looking like you're about to just rob the place as soon as you're done, kind of thing.
Here's the thing, Angie. You need to make eye contact, but don't make too much eye contact. You got to make the right amount of eye contact. And don't get paranoid about whether you're making too much eye contact or not enough eye contact, because then you'll just get all freaked out. So don't think about the eye contact.
And just pee in the corner. Assert your dominance.
That's right.
Exactly what you got to do.
Yeah, I had a friend that was looking for a job, and apparently one of the things that Indeed will do is you can put your resume like into Indeed, and then you can kind of just be like, apply to the job, and they'll send it out, instead of that thing where like every company wants you to refill out your resume on their own personalized fucking website, where they're like, hey, enter your resume into our custom fields. And it's like, dude, what the fuck? That's why I have a resume. You are supposed to look at the resume and go, oh, I can see what jobs you had, instead of making me like fill out some fucking TurboTax form full of job shit. So
many things.
I would recommend that. And
job
also,
hunting is tough, though.
Yeah. I have a few interview tips. I know that it's not, you know what? These are going to be the same tips that you give people when they start dating. Go on a lot of interviews, right? Like, you want to try to go on as many interviews as you can, even if you're not qualified. If you can get an interview, go on it, because you don't want it to be a thing where you're nervous. And so the more you do it, the more relaxed you will be when you actually go on the interview. And then second, I forgot the second one.
Have a good memory. A lot of it's just like he said, the first part, just be comfortable with the interview. Like the job I have now, I got it because I was really comfortable in the interview. Like, we were just talking. At one point we started shooting the shit, which is how I knew I was doing fine, because we started talking about how bad the second Jurassic World was for like a good hour. It was really funny. Yeah, it's difficult because but there is such thing as too comfortable kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's mostly arrogance. Don't be like a super arrogant person. Don't walk in and like as if you're going to give this to me right now, but be like a dick about it kind of thing. Don't do that.
But you do want to. I do feel like some of the most successful interviews I've been on in my life, there was like a pinch. You want to take a pinch. You want to go into that and take a pinch of arrogance because you want enough to know, you want to be confident, right? You want the right before the arrogance mutates into like fucking taking your pants off in the interview. You still want it to be like, I'm the guy for this job. I'm the gal for this job. You know, you want to give me the job. I remember what I was going to say. Some people may tell you not to do this. I say don't ever apply for a job where you're lying. Don't lie on your resume because it'll make you nervous. And in a lot of cases, I feel like like when you get to the point where you're lying on your resume about like what you know, where you're like, yeah, man, I know AutoCAD, and like I'll totally learn it before I get this job. It's like, no, you need to like, I don't know. I think you should really be upfront with what you know, what you don't know. And if you don't know something, I think it's okay to say that, but then also to say like, but I am a fast learner. I pick stuff up really quick. I've got good comprehension. I've got a little bit in this. I don't know. That's what's always worked for me is like trying to be honest, because I went on one job interview one time where I was woefully unqualified for the job, and I'd been pushed by my friends. They were like, oh, my God, that job's like $27 an hour. You should totally apply for it. And I did. And I was just like, yes, databases. I know what this was like in 1998. I was like, yes, I am a database master. I base all my data in the bases of data. And yeah, I didn't get that job. So
it's true. I did an interview kind of similarly where it was like 23 an hour, and they would send me to Santa Barbara for training or whatever. It's like in downtown Austin. And they're just like, what do you know about construction sites? I was like, bulldozers and such. I was like, I don't fucking know what to say, but I wanted to sound confident saying it, so I just sort of started saying shit, but it was pretty obvious that I had no idea what the fuck was going on after a while, so yeah. Couldn't really support that sort of thing, so yeah.
Yep, I agree. All right, let's see what else we got here. You know what? Mauricio keeps sending this question in, so we're going to read your question, Mauricio. Mauricio says, hey, guys, Mauricio again here, going straight for the question since there's no worthwhile story from me this week. Jeff and co-host, have you, when you watch, read, play a game / movie / book / TV show, etc., have you ever encountered a plot hole or some element of the story not explained yet or at all that bothered you to this day? If so, which one? His example is Doom Eternal, that they never explained how you got onto the big Citadel rock at the very beginning. Thanks and take care. That's from Mauricio. So Mauricio says, have you ever encountered a plot hole in a movie or a TV show or a game or a book or whatever that bothers you to this day? It depends. It's I'm not the biggest plot hole guy. It's only when I don't like. You know what? I have this theory, Michael, that everybody has. There's a suspension of disbelief, and if a movie or a game or whatever is too stupid, it'll stretch your suspension of disbelief to the point where the suspension of disbelief shatters, and then you can't be in the thing anymore. Like that happened to me. My big example of that movie-wise used to be Prometheus, where they were like, okay, listen, the Prometheus is a science fiction world. You do whatever, but you guys are like, we've come to this hostile alien planet. Everybody all the scientists, take off your helmets immediately. All right, now map guy is going to get lost, and everybody's going to act like a fucking dum-dum to a point where I was like, okay. Recently, though, I think it was... not to get back onto this, but recently it was the Rise of Skywalker, where by about minute 20 in Rise of Skywalker, I was like, how is the Emperor back? Hold on. Stop the movie. I need to know how the Emperor is alive again. It was the first thing, and you didn't explain it at all, and now I'm just confused. And here are all these Star Destroyers. But where did they come from? And the thing is that I don't think I would have asked where the Star Destroyers had come from if I hadn't already had my suspension of disbelief broken in half from the whole, like, Emperor's back, everybody. And I'm like, but why? And they're like, Sith magic, I guess. And I'm like, but why? Is it the same guy? I have so many questions. Is it the guy that fell down the Death Star reactor? Is this a clone? Why is he alive? You have to explain this to me before we can move on from that. They're like, don't think about it. I'm like, no, I'm going to. God damn it. So
the entirety of episode 9 was also part of my answer. The second you see the jar full of Snokes,
yep,
I was just like, okay, you guys have lost me. And this has been like 10 minutes kind of thing. It's just fuck, man. And the movie just kept going. It just kept making the plot holes make less sense as it went on. Doom Eternal is another recent example. Well, it's not really like, it doesn't bother me so much as I would just really like to know like how I got from point A to B kind of thing. And there's this one that's a comic book thing that happened fairly recently.
Okay.
And so writers change kind of thing. The issue with sometimes though writers forget a very big plot point from an earlier point and just forget about its very existence afterwards.
Okay.
So right now in the Amazing Spider-Man, the Lizard was like, in Dan Slott's run, was set to where he couldn't turn back in the Dr. Connors. Like, it was a whole thing. Like, it was literally like part of like 3 different storylines. And recently it's like, oh, he can turn back to the Lizard like it's nothing. And no mention of any of that stuff that happened prior to that point. It bothers me only because it was a huge plot point prior to that, and they're just like, nope, never happened. The Lizard works exactly the way he did prior to this point. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. But and also because it's like it's not that far from it kind of thing. It's not like it was like 10 years ago. It was like maybe like a few years back kind of thing. And then I don't know. It's just the whole thing. I feel like it frustrates me to no end.
I feel like comic book writers must encounter this like on a just like a quarterly basis, because every comic book writer wants to like shake up the status quo. Superman's a Nazi now, and his brain has been taken over by Lex Luthor. And then somebody's like, I want to write a Superman story. And they're like, yeah, he's a Nazi with Lex Luthor's brain right now, so I don't know what you're going to do about that. And it's like, fuck, you got to spend 2 years writing my way out of this dumb shit that this person did? Wait, Batman is dead? Okay, all right, guys, we got to bring Batman back to life. I can't. I want to write a Batman story. I can't do that. Can we reboot the entire continuity of this entire run of comics yet? No.
I hear that's kind of what happened with the Joker thing with Scott Snyder's run. Mm-hmm. Like somebody took like the very first issue of the New 52. Somebody takes Joker's face off.
Yeah.
And Scott Snyder's like, I'm gonna make a Joker story. He's like, well, he doesn't have a face. He's like, fuck. So now I got to figure out how to work with the fact that he doesn't have a face. It's like, well, he puts the face on his face. I don't know. Like, it was this whole thing. But yeah, and then he made it work. I don't know. It's just happens to the comics all the time. Yeah, like you said. So it still bothers me, the Lizard thing, though.
In general, though, as long as something isn't too stupid, I don't really care about plot holes all that much. As long as it's not too stupid all the time. Like somebody in the Discord, and I'm not trying to call them out to be sure, because this is a legitimate question. So somebody in the Discord was asking me, they were like, I was watching your dojo for Final Fantasy VII. Do they ever explain how Cloud and all of his friends can use melee weapons in a world where everybody has a machine gun? I'm like, no, they do not. And he's like, well, that's a problem. Or first I was like, have you played many JRPGs? And he was like, no, I've not played many JRPGs. And I'm like, okay, well, this is a thing, and you probably need to get used to it, because if bullets worked in Final Fantasy the way the bullets work in the real world, Cloud would be dead. He'd be dead. I think there's like 3 times so far in the game, about halfway through, where he's blocked bullets with his giant fuck-off sword. But in the real world, there's no way Cloud should be able to lift the sword. No matter how much Mako they've shoved up his ass.
Plus, he has the giant sword, but Tifa doesn't have the giant sword.
Right.
She's just a girl in like a sports bra and like punching people to death.
Yes.
Kind of thing.
With brass
she
knuckles.
should get shot in the face within like the first 10 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
At least Barrett has a gun, kind of thing.
That's true. It's very true.
But yeah, it's just so weird.
But for me, it's like, well, if those are the rules, so. You know what? Salisbury used to say all the time that, like, he has no problem with any movie world's rules, right? So your movie's about giant cities that drive around on tank treads. Whatever. That's stupid, but that's what this world is. Yeah. But then if the movie starts to break its own rules, then you're like, a lot of people, I feel like, there's a whole videos on the internet about how Sherlock does this, where like it'll just totally be like, here's what happened, and they'll show you what happened, and it's like, how did that even happen? It's like, well, it turns out there was all this other shit that you could not possibly have known about, you could never have heard about, that was all happening in the background, and that's how it happened, and you just got to go with it. It's like, but that doesn't make any sense. Come on, you guys.
Yeah, it has to like make sense in its own world, is really what it, like Jeff's saying. Like that's the thing, is that's why we never question The Last Jedi or Force Awakens, because it more or less made sense in its own world. But every time Rise of Skywalker just said something. It's like, but that doesn't make sense to anything that happened prior to this point. It's like, don't worry about it. And it's just that the entire movie is somebody just popping up next to you going, don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right, let's do one more of these, then we'll flip over. Yeah, we got some time. We'll flip over. Ryan writes in and says, Dear Jeff and Michael, have you ever played a game that was so bad in terms of gameplay, story, or graphics that you personally said it's... Oh, no, wait. I read that one last week. I'm sorry. Sorry, Ryan. Sorry. I forgot that I read that one last week. Paul writes in and says, hey, Jeff and Michael. Well, here, you know what? I don't want to be mean to Ryan. Michael, I will paraphrase Ryan's question. Have you ever... seen a movie, TV show, video game, a piece of media property that was so bad that you literally were like, that's not canon. I refute its existence in this franchise, and I refuse to acknowledge that it exists as a part of this franchise.
Oh, no, it happens all the time. We just said one of them kind of thing. A Good Day to Die Hard is another good example. So is Live Free Die Hard, kind of. Like I like Live Free or Die Hard, but that movie is fucking dumb.
Is that the one with Murder Copter or Murder Truck or whatever? Is that the one where they go to Russia?
I think so.
Yeah.
No, that's a Good Day to Die Hard.
Oh, that was stupid.
Live Free or Die Hard is the one with Kevin Smith as a guy like who lives in his mom's basement or something.
That's the one where John McClane fights an F-22 Raptor by himself and wins, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that was that one.
Okay.
It's the one where he hits the helicopter with the car.
Yep.
Or whatever.
Well, that's that one.
That one.
That's that one.
There's a few other things out there. Like there's games that exist that you're just like, no. Not like Zelda games. People like to pretend Skyward Sword doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Even if it wasn't, or like, too bad. I refuse to acknowledge the existence of Sins Past from Amazing Spider-Man because that story is fucking awful. Because fuck that story 100 times over. There was a few spin-offs, I think, from the Resident Evil games that I also refuse to exist or to acknowledge their existence.
Umbrella Corps.
Kind of Umbrella Corps. What was the Operation Raccoon City? Mm-hmm. There's another one. I'm like, none of those games exist. That's the thing. Also, the Metal Gear Acid games. Those games don't exist.
See, my whole thing is that I refute the... I think what John and I were talking about last week, it's like, not to relitigate this, but I refute the idea that anything can, like, ruin a franchise. So if I don't like a thing, I'm just like, I don't give a shit whether it's part of the franchise. I'm just never going to... Like, yeah, sure, Die Hard 5 is part of the Die Hard franchise. I'm never going to watch it again. But, like, it doesn't do me any good to be like, I, Jeff, am the arbiter of what is and what is not Die Hard. I'm just like, it's fine. Resident Evil 6 is a thing. It's part of the Resident Evil canon. But it doesn't make Resident Evil 7 worse. I just ignore it. Or I not ignore it, but it's just like, that was Leon and the stupid. And now we've got this new thing. I don't know. I have to revisit this when I go.
There's a lot of stuff
remakes.
like that. There's a lot of things out there that are just like, no. Please to God, no.
Paul C says, hey, Jeff, Michael, how are you? Are you well? Do you need TP? Hope not. Anyway, here's my question. We always talk about how we would love to see or hang out with a fictional character, but what character would you like to see being a buddy cop dropped into another series? Like Sonic is dropped into a racing match with The Flash from Injustice, or Nathan Drake going on a journey with Commander Shepard. What are your thoughts? P.S. Any quarantine cooking recipes? And that's from Paul C. All my quarantine cooking has been the same as my regular cooking, so I don't know. Oh, no, that's not true. I made a big pot of red sauce last week.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. How did that go?
Went pretty good. I made this big eggplant bake with gnocchi. I don't think I like gnocchi very much. I think it's like this potato gnocchi, so I don't really know. But if you make a big pot of red sauce, though, it'll last for a long time. Like I used half of it and I froze half of it. Next week I'm going to make some meatballs with this pork that I got and put the meatballs inside of the red sauce and just like chill it out. I don't know. Whatever. So what two characters would you like to see in their own game together? I'm going to take Doom Guy and Isabel before you do.
Yeah, that's a fair point to take that.
Make it happen.
No, that wasn't going to be my answer, but my answer is I would want to see Green Arrow and Hawkeye hang out. Just like doing arrow shit together, I just think would be a lot of fun.
What about just like a a Justice League made of arrow people, so like Katniss and like Lara Croft from the two Tomb Raider, or Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn. Just everybody, all the bow ones.
Well, we need like a story of just every superhero that has stretchy powers, just hanging out, like Mr. Fantastic and
Plastic
Man,
Elongated Man,
Elongated Man, just them all hanging out together. Just be like comparing how far they can stretch and just like being annoyed by Reed Richards' super intelligence kind of thing.
I feel like Reed Richards would leave almost immediately, considering who the other people.
Pretty much.
I don't know. Reed and Elongated Man might get along, but I don't think Reed Richards is going to truck with no goddamn Plastic Man. Now,
fuck no.
Plastic Man and the Human Torch. That would be an interesting team up right there. They'd be doing pranks all day long.
Yeah, that would be so much fun.
Plastic Man could turn into a hot air balloon, and the Human Torch could like put the hot air up in it, and then they could fly around solving crimes together.
Yeah, I don't know. There's like with video game character stuff, I've never really been super big on the what if this guy hung out with this guy kind of thing. Although there was one that I saw recently that was also Doom related, which was Doom and Dante from Devil May Cry.
Oh, the Doom guy and Dante?
Doom guy. Yeah, like there was this webcomic somebody made where like if Doom guy went to an interview to work at Devil May Cry, and he's like, you just need a coat, and he just gives him like this stylish coat
that goes over the Doom armor.
Exactly. He's like, you're hired. No, I would watch that every day, all day, every day.
I have a feeling that that Nathan Drake and Leon Kennedy would make for a good team to go have adventures. I feel like there'd be a lot of wisecracking going on in there, a lot of wry wisecracking. The two of them would just like destroy people with their witty cut downs and yeah. I don't know if people remember Resident Evil 4, the amount of jokes that Leon makes at who's that Napoleon looking little person guy in that game?
Oh.
He just fucks with him endlessly.
I just can't remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out who Max Payne would hang out with without depressing the person.
Well, which Max Payne?
Well, like OG Max Payne, like Max Payne 2 at least, like Max Payne.
Batman?
I don't.
Max Payne would make for an excellent Commissioner Gordon to a weird alternate universe Batman.
I could see that. I could absolutely see that. And it would be amazing.
He's in his like shirt sleeves and stuff. Let's see.
I know. Harley Quinn Jim Gordon in the Dark Knight series instead. Like just switch it with him. I would watch that. It would be amazing.
Okay. Have you started watching the season 2 of Harley Quinn yet?
I have. It's really good. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't started yet.
But there's a great Jim Gordon joke in it that I don't want to ruin, but it involves shower beer.
Shower beer's I've never engaged in shower beer before because I don't want to get dirty Jeff water in my beer. And like
completely fair.
Yeah. All right,
he's great though.
Let's do some Discord questions here. Let's see. Pandastic says, hey, Jeff and Michael, I had a great idea. A Super Mario Brothers movie spinoff for Luigi's Mansion with John Leguizamo as Luigi, Tilda Swinton as Dr. Egad, and Danny DeVito as King Boo. Would you watch it? And do you have any spinoffs of already existing video game movies you would like to be made? Keep the awesome work and keep us entertained during these times. Sincerely, Wiener Schnitzel / Pandastic. Well, as a staunch anti-Luigi advocate, me and my super PAC will not be seeing this spin-off movie. Even though I do love Ms. Tilda Swinton, I can't, in good conscience, no. I don't know.
I'd watch the hell of that movie.
Only if it takes place in the same universe as the Super Mario Brothers movie. I want to see the version of Luigi's Mansion that is actually like as Luigi's Mansion is a spinoff from the Mario franchise. I want this Luigi's Mansion movie to be a spinoff of Super Mario Brothers the movie, the franchise, which in my mind, I guess, makes it kind of like a weird 80s Ghostbusters style Luigi's Mansion.
Absolutely. And I would watch the shit out of that. And I have to back up my boy John Leguizamo.
The last thing I saw him in was he was in John Wick, right? He was
Yeah.
Yes.
He's in John Wick.
Okay. Yeah, he's the guy mechanic at John Wick. Yeah, okay.
He's also in Die Hard 2, apparently.
Okay.
Yeah, I found that out recently on accident.
I thought you were going to tell me he was in Robocop 3.
Stephen Root's in RoboCop 3,
Yeah,
so that's neat. Yeah.
he shows up from
A lot
time to
of weird
time in a
actors.
movie where you're like, what? Do you have
Yeah.
any spin-offs of already existing video game movies you would like to be made? Oh, well, geez, sky's the limit on that one, huh?
I would like a sequel to the Carl Urban Doom. That would be interesting.
What about
Just all about Carl Urban before everything, just hanging
as
out with
as
Isabella.
Doom guy? Hey, that
Animal
was my
Crossing.
answer.
Yeah, it's like the backdoor pilot for Animal Crossing. You just stick her in the Doom sequel. Works just fine.
She's at the very end, right? She comes in with the gun and she's like, Doom guy, you won't believe what's happened. And then the credits roll and then you're like, yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, weird.
or there's one that I always like, which is the Smash Brothers cinematic universe, which is that you just connect Detective Pikachu and Sonic the Hedgehog together, and then just make more Smash Brother type movies.
Oh my God, that's a crossover from hell right there. You know what? I've actually been. This is completely non sequitur. We talk about movies that Jeff doesn't want to watch. So I've been thinking recently about. Well, two things. Here, I'll bring up both of these. One, I was thinking the other day. I still haven't seen the movie Cats. And I'm now thinking that I might want to save it for like a day when it's on a streaming service, and I could like live stream my reactions to watching the movie Cats, because I don't want to watch it, but at this point I feel like I might have to. I don't know. Second, it's weird. Last week, Twitch sent me a email about Twitch is doing this new thing. Michael, have you heard that Twitch has this new thing where like the Amazon and Twitch have teamed up, and there's like a list of Amazon movies and TV shows that you can legally stream into your Twitch channel, and then it automatically puts you on a webcam like over the chat and then ducks the audio and you can do commentary over it. And
I did not know that.
It's so strange. I think you have to be an affiliate in order to get access to it. They were like, hey, good news, you're in the beta for this thing. And I'm like, okay. And then I let the Discord see the list of movies, and they were like, and TV shows, and they're like, ooh, The Expanse, that would be fun. And they're like, ooh, A Simple Plan, I like that movie. And I was like, you bitches, this is not your decision. All 7 seasons of Hell's Kitchen is on Amazon, and if we're going to watch anything, it's going to be Jeff. You're going to watch Jeff watch Gordon Ramsay yell at people. It's going to be amazing.
I just came up with a good one.
Okay.
So, well, it's another Super Smash Brothers one, but what it is you take the already existing Super Mario Brothers movie world and make Game of Death, but with Smash, but it's Smash Brothers.
Okay. I actually was just thinking I would love to see Gordon Ramsay and Cooking Mama team up and solve food-related crimes. They have to solve food crimes together, and like Cooking Mama's the good cop. Cooking Mama's actually the bad cop, and Gordon Ramsay's the good cop, so that we're playing against type. But then Gordon Ramsay, like every so often, he hulks out and he just starts yelling at people. Cooking Mama's like, Gordon, no! And
Gordon, why?
They have to solve food crimes. I don't know what the food crimes are, but like somebody was murdered with a carrot, and they're like, oh, I see. This was braised for 6 hours. Cooking Mama's like, smelling it and stuff. And yeah, that's my spinoff. That's what I want.
There's not a lot of like video game movies that exist that would make fun spin-offs of them, other than like make another one kind of thing. Like Assassin's Creed, like just make another Assassin's Creed is really what it comes down to.
I'll tell you what, man. I've been saying this ever since it came on, but I would take an entire spin-off series of literally, I mean, I'm serious here, literally any character from My Hero Academia. Like if you wanted to make a series about anybody in that show.
Even Mineta?
Even Mineta, I would probably watch that because it would be a redemption arc, and at the end it'd be better or whatever. But that would be the one I'd be least likely. But like, if you wanted to give me a spin-off series about like the sleepy guy that runs the certification for hero licenses, that's super sleepy all the time, and I don't even know why he's sleepy, and the whole show's about why is he so sleepy, I would watch that show. Because I
turn that show into Better Call Saul.
Yeah, exactly.
Great.
Exactly.
Yeah, just find out why he's so sleepy. He's secretly in the drugs and shit.
You read that manga. Do you know why he's so sleepy?
No, I don't think they ever mentioned why he's so sleepy.
He's just so sleepy.
He's just consistently stressed out, I guess. I don't know. Shit's crazy.
I identify a lot with him because he's just so sleepy all the time, and so am I. NBA SOA 21 says, "Hey Jeff and Michael, what was the anime, show, or movie that made you love anime and why?" Thank you for answering this question. Stay safe out there, and that's from NBA SOA 21.
I don't have to say it. I'm wearing it right now.
Well, they can't see you. I'm not doing a screen capture.
Well, it's just like it's all I talk about. It's like, what else would I say the answer is besides Dragon Ball?
It's One Piece. It's One Piece, right?
It's completely One Piece. It's always been One Piece. No, it's it's always been Dragon Ball. But I'm one of those few people that I watched Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, and Dragon Ball GT pretty much at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Like
And
on
so
three different screens?
Well, mine as well, because it was I watched them all in Spanish, and they showed them one after another.
Oh shit!
All in the same block. Like it was Dragon Ball, then the Z, and then the GT. So I was literally watching them all at the same time.
That sounds weird.
And so it's super weird. But especially watching Pokemon in Spanish, because Ash is 10 years old, but he's got like the deepest 40-year-old voice on the planet. So when I finally watched, when I finally watched English Ash, I was like, who the fuck is this kid? But yeah, it was Dragon Ball Z, but I technically have a second answer for this because I stopped watching anime for like 3 years. There was like a gap because one day I was just like, I don't want to do this anymore. And so, but one day I was forced to watch Tiger and Bunny, and I became obsessed with it, and then I fell in love with anime again all over again. And so that's my second answer, I guess, really what it comes down to.
I am a child of the 80s, and so if you really want to get technical about it, the anime that got me into anime was Robotech, because when I was a kid, that was what was available, and it was like, check out this airplane that turns into a robot, and it was like, what in the what? I mean, you guys, like, here's the thing, Michael, you have to remember, I remember the world when the Transformers were not a thing. I remember when they introduced the GoBots. Like, there was a world where I had never seen a robot transform into a thing before, and then suddenly there was a cartoon where the robots turned into things. Dude, there were like 3 years where I was a hardcore GoBot collector, and I just had all the GoBots. And that was before Transformers came out. The first Transformer that I got was one of the planes, right? And like, the idea that you had to have an instruction manual on how to transform this fucking thing into a robot, I was like, what? Because GoBots, it was just like, pull the bottom out, fold this one thing. It's a robot. It's a crappy robot. And Transformers, it was like, okay, where do I start here? I got to push his head out of the back of his butt, and then I got to fold the entire Transformer 360 degrees.
Good luck putting him back without those instructions.
Yeah. So the only thing that was shown around that time was Robotech. It was at all the shows or all the video stores. You had FHE, Family Home Entertainment, that would put those out, and that was definitely the first thing. Even though I think it was like Robotech the movie, really.
The Macross stuff.
Yeah,
probably?
yeah.
Or...
Well, it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't Macross at the time. It was when they compressed the first season into a movie. I still need to go back and watch just like the whole first season of Macross the way God intended, and not as like a 2-hour movie. And then I remember that my video store also had a couple of other animes that I watched a whole bunch. There was a Transor Z and Guy King, which I think is Transor Z Mangaziner. I don't know.
Mazinger?
Yeah. In any case, I watched those when I was a kid. I stopped, and then when I was an edgy teenager, Ninja Scroll came out, and I was back into it. I also worked with a guy that was like, you should watch Gundam, and I was like, okay, how? And he was like, there's no way to. And I was like, okay, cool, thanks, I guess. So Ninja Scroll, and then that was when all that crazy shit was coming out. You got like Macross Plus and stuff like that. And then I went away for a little while, and there was another big grouping where it was like Cowboy Bebop, and then like all the Evangelion, Cowboy Bebop, like Death Note, like a bunch of stuff that I did kind of in the early 2000s. And then everything started to become Naruto, so I stopped again. And then My Hero Academia is what's got me back into doing it now, because it shows. Actually, it was probably Attack on Titan was what started it, because everybody said, you got to watch Attack on Titan. I was like, I don't know, I don't like anime anymore. And they were like, no. It's like, this guy cries a lot.
So much crying.
I actually feel really bad for Jeff that watched like half of season 1 of Attack on Titan and then had to stop, because like, goddamn, at the end of season 3 of Attack on Titan, they're so far from where they were at the end of season 1 of Attack on Titan.
It's crazy how much different it was by the time it's at now.
Yeah, it gets really conspiracy heavy, like starting with the end of season 1, beginning of season 2. It becomes like a weird scroll plot where it's like, who's a Titan? Everyone's a Titan, it turns out. Oh no.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Yeah. All right, Mikey Mikester says, hi, Jeff and Michael. What do you guys miss most about the outside world right now? And what will you do first when this pandemic is over? I have been missing just the people. I miss the people. Now that the Dojo Remoto is up, I did a Patreon video about this where I don't get to hang out with anybody anymore, and it's strangely different with the webcam stuff than it is like just hanging out with a person in real life as a person.
No, absolutely. That's my answer too, really. It's like I didn't realize, well, because the way I am now, because when I was like 20, I was perfectly fine with sitting inside and playing and not going outside pretty much whenever, because I played online all the time with people, kind of thing. But now I'm at the point where I liked hanging out with people on the outside. I became more extrovert now than I've been before, and now I'm forced to kind of try to be the way I was before, but I can't do it anymore. I can't just sit and stare at a TV for 24 hours a day and feel great about it. I want to hang out with people, and that's honestly, that would probably be the first thing I would do, is try to see if I could get a bunch of people together, kind of thing.
Yeah. It's been strange because I think that I was talking with Matt on one of our Patreon videos about this, how it's like, you sit at like a lot of times us, or I don't know how your own tendencies are, but like I have like I hate the way that the internet is like, I'm an introvert. And I'm like, I have introverted tendencies, right? Like I like interacting with people, but I do get kind of exhausted and I need to like go recharge my batteries by myself. But the thing is that my batteries are fully charged right now, motherfuckers, because I haven't gotten to hang out with anybody in a while. So it's weird how I had a very small number of people that would come to my house to record, and nobody comes to my house anymore, and I still record with people. But I find that it's like, oh, no, I wanted them to be here. I missed that part of it, and the small amount of social interaction that I was getting, that I was like, oh, I could take it or leave it. I was wrong. I can't just leave it. I want to take it. So, and it's different that like the chat and the video and the Discord, like streaming with other people stuff, it's not scratching that itch, Michael. It's scratching it a little bit, but it's like when you just cut your nails, where you really can't get in there and get your scratch on. So
yeah, I feel that like because I work from home now, and I still have my work chat, and we'll talk over the chat, but I feel it just doesn't feel the same. Like I'm not looking at my coworker on and shooting the shit with him, like we're kind of shooting the shit over chat, but like there's no like direct response sometimes. Like I'll say something and then no one will see it for like 3 hours, and they'll be like, oh, that was funny. It's like the time has passed. I don't even know what the hell we were talking about, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that just keeps happening, and it's really frustrating.
I think it's really interesting because I think it actually goes to show just how like physically we humans need to be around other humans from time to time, and then it's so incidental. There's never been a situation like, you might be lonely, but you can always go to a restaurant by yourself, right? And like bring a book, sit there around other people, and just be like, other people, my primate brain is sated, like I'm part of a group. I tricked you, brain, because you thought these were my people, but they're all strangers. Haha. But then when you're forced to just not do that, and you're like, this is like kind of physically uncomfortable sometimes to be this isolated. So.
Oh, no, absolutely. Like I have my roommate, and that's fine, but even that sometimes it's like, well, I don't really want just to hang out with this one guy right now. It's like I would really wish there was like another person I could just hang out with right now, kind of thing. But there really isn't at the moment.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Like I don't know. It's been really difficult. Anyway, let's do another one. Let's not get too heavy. Neg Primer writes in and says, hey, Jeff and Michael, with the success of RE2 and the RE3 remake, what other games do you wish would get a similar treatment? That is, a remake that's in the similar spirit of the original, but with modern design sensibilities. Having just replayed them, I think that the Prince of Persia Sands of Time trilogy is the most in need of this. The 3 games play like they were made by completely different studios, building off the work of the last, but not with a certain storyline or cohesive design philosophy. Add in that the PC versions are barely playable, and it seems like the perfect candidate, and that is from Neg Primer.
That's a good answer, actually.
It really is.
The Prince of Persia games were fucking solid back in the day.
Well, I remember the first one being good, but I don't remember anybody liking the second or the third one because I thought they got all like edgelordy and shit. Like they went
I
super
remember
dark.
people liking the second one, but yeah, the edgelord stuff rubbed people the wrong way. But I was at the age when it came out that a lot of people were edgelord as hell, so they were the ones that really liked it. I was just kind of weird. I was just confused by it because yeah, it went from like 7 to 10 in like 10 seconds kind of thing. I don't know, they did that with Jack 1 and 2 technically kind of thing. For some reason that was the fun thing to do at the time. Remake wise, this might still sound like a weird answer, but I'd like for somebody to try to remake Duke Nukem Forever. make a good Duke Nukem game out of Duke Nukem Forever.
Yeah, it's got the framework. I mean,
there's plenty of stuff to work off of.
I actually feel like with the modern tools that modern game designers have, that if you just like took the story and rewrote it, that 3D Realms spent so long making all those assets, and it's like, bitch, I can buy that shit off the Unity store. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Like a gas station, a country road, a missile base. Like these are not the things that are going to take 3D artists years and years and years to create. Like you can just buy some fucking stock shit and then alter it a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan in the world of remakes, as I've said before, but I will stick to the drum that I keep beating. Beat drum, beat drum, beat drum. Metal Gear Solid. Why can we not get a remake of Metal Gear Solid 1? All the rest of the games are playable in HD. I need something that is not the Twin Snakes, that is just a straight up remake of Metal Gear Solid 1. Maybe change it. I don't know. Maybe make it a behind the back thing. Like part of that might be interesting. You kind of have to go from the ground up. I'd really rather they just remade Metal Gear Solid 1 with all the same cutscenes, but people have faces and facial expressions and shit, because I was listening to something recently where they were talking about how you've obviously played Twin Snakes, right?
Yeah.
Okay. How the hold up mechanics, the first person shooting mechanics in Twin Snakes, they kind of break Metal Gear a little bit. Oh
no, absolutely.
Metal Gear was not meant to be played like that. Metal Gear was not meant to be able to first person aim at things. It was designed in a different way, and then when you added that in, you kind of fucked up the flow of the game to the point where not where it's broken, but just it becomes way easier because it wasn't designed originally with those mechanics in mind. You just kind of shoehorned them in.
There's a lot of issues Twin Snakes has. That's one of them. And then the other issue I have is that soundtrack is different, as well as the fact, like I said, there's a lot of sequences that were just normal little sequences that turned into Matrix, reloaded type shit, where he's doing backflips over pieces of concrete thrown at him, kind of thing. And that's really my biggest issue with Twin Snakes, is it takes away the seriousness and makes it a lot more goofy because of all that stuff.
Well, I mean, it was the cutscenes were redirected by the guy that made Versus, and the cutscenes in the Twin Snakes remind me a lot of the movie Versus, of being this super bombastic, just completely completely unrealistic thing. There's the point where fucking Liquid shoots that missile and Snake does a backflip and tips his foot off the missile and then brings down the Stinger to shoot down the Harrier, and it's just he doesn't have to be fucking Neo, all right?
It's that backflip from when he's fighting Gray Fox that he slashes off a piece of the wall and throws it, and he does this super backflip.
Oh yeah,
to avoid it. I'm like, what the fuck was that?
But and before anybody points it out, I know that Kojima and Konami told that guy not to just redo the cutscenes the way that they were. They wanted him to try something different and go nuts with it. But I don't know. I just think that Metal Gear Solid, it's the one game I really wish that there was a complete Metal Gear Solid package where I could just be give me the omnibus collection that has all of them and just fix one and go. I mean, last week John and I were talking about, even this week when we were talking about RE remakes, I'd rather see him remake Zero, because I never finished Zero.
I never even played it.
Let's see. How about one more before we finish up here? Joe Jett says, "Hello, Rage Crew. If it is true that they are remaking Resident Evil 4 to be more like RE2 and 3, do you think they will do the same with 5 and 6? If they did, do you think it would be better if they kept a similar story but completely retconned them, since 5 and 6 went way from the survival horror and felt more like action games with slightly horror elements? Just something that crossed my mind. Do you think it'd be better if they kept the same story, or if they completely retconned 5 and 6?
I think it would be better if they retcon some of it, because there's a lot of parts that are just that wouldn't work for that kind of system kind of thing. Like, I just don't think it would work as well, especially 6, because there's a lot of stuff in 6 that's just batshit insane that just wouldn't work with the same way Resident Evil 2 and 3 remake works, at least in my opinion.
Yeah.
There's a lot of horror in it either, so yeah.
I think 5, I never thought 5 was quite as bad as a lot of people did. Like, at the end when you're fighting Wesker in the volcano, that's a little stupid. But, like the beginning part, the kind of like going through the villages and there's something weird going on and the kind of Tricell stuff, like I'm not that opposed to that. It's kind of just when Wesker shows up that things start getting stupid. And it's like Wesker's got Jill hypnotized with like a boob bug. He's got his robot boob bug.
Colored her hair apparently.
Yeah, he dyed her reasons. Hair. Yep.
It makes no sense. Resident Evil 5 had some good stuff going on with it, and then it just sort of fucks itself up as it goes along. Is really the issue with 5. 6 is just fucking crazy from minute 1. So yeah.
You know what I'd really like is instead of the real question is 6. Like I just got done saying like 6 is bad, but I wouldn't do a thing. I think that with some care and attention, you could take the framework of 6 and make it a thing. Like, I think that 6 got stupid. I don't know. Let me ask you this. The Leon chapter of 6 I thought was okay. Like, I didn't think the Leon chapter of 6 was bad. The Ada chapter of 6 I thought was also, like, okay.
It's a lot of, like, explanation of stuff going on in Leon's thing, really.
Yeah. The Sherry and Wesker's kid one was weird, but like kind of a throwback to 4, right? Like it had kind of the weird Eastern European type of roots and stuff.
Well, it moves the story forward as well, is the thing. Whereas Chris's, and I don't even remember the guy's name.
Oh, yeah.
You could like literally just get rid of it and it changes nothing almost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the one that I think that Resident Evil, of the stories of Resident Evil 6, the Chris chapter is really kind of the worst. So if you could just do something with that and then just rewrite the other ones or lump Chris into the other ones, or I don't know, maybe even just rewrite just Chris's chapter and leave the rest of them kind of the same. I do remember that the final boss in Resident Evil 6 wasn't like a T-Rex tyrant or something, like a big tyrant T-Rex that you had to fight, like a museum.
Don't even remember. It's like this fuck off giant thing. Well, it might be. That's the thing. There's 3 different final boss things because each thing has a final boss in it. Because Chris's was like this fuck off giant tyrant kind of thing under like ground, and then Leon's was this fuck off giant thing in the city. I don't even remember what the Wesker Kid one was. I didn't even remember, but they're always like giant things.
Was the Wesker Kid one that like that thing that looked like Nemesis if Paul Anderson or whatever had made it, where it was like he had like a kind of Nemesis guy that had like a lot of like rusty cages around his face and arm and
he
shit?
Did, yeah. Actually, he might have been the final boss for that one because there was like an invincible guy that we run into. I think Chris is there at one point for some reason. I don't know. It's very, very strange.
It's very strange. Anyway, speaking of very strange, it's strange that another Rage Select podcast is over. So thanks everybody for listening. Make sure that you send in all your questions. We are actually super low on questions this week. So mail at rageselect.com is the email address to send questions into. You could check out Michael over at oneofus.net. And that is how you do a birthday podcast.